Chapter 2001. Now it's me. Chapter 2001. Now it's me, Buzz. A red light flashed on Li Yuanba's body as his strength increased explosively. The white-haired powerhouse who had his eyes locked on the middle god moved his body and rushed out. And, at this moment, the strength of the god's bone taboo on Wang Tai's body also increased abruptly and immediately knocked the golden poison corpse out as all the bones in his body grew out of his body like barbs. Staring at the Wang family elder, a cold glint flashed across Wang Tai's eyes. "Since you call me a monster, then I'll show you a monster." Boom! He directly charged out. The battle was about to begin. The Kunlun clansman stared at Long Fei, who was facing a legend palace youth at the side, and said, "His life is mine." Shwa! The shadow disappeared. His aura vanished. Long Fei couldn't sense his position at all. The purple-clothed girl frowned. Karakoram savant's great art of confusion. Long Fei, Eagle Strike the Void. She was the young valley master of the Night King Valley and had been familiar with all the techniques of the ancient god battle. Since young, it could be said that the Night King Valley was the largest kung fu storage pavilion in the ancient god war. She was just like Wang Yuyan from the 8 heavenly dragon tribes. He was very clear about the techniques and styles of the various sections. After looking closely at the Karakoram savant's movement technique, he immediately thought of a method to solve the problem. The Yama edge in Long Fei's hand moved and flew into the air, striking towards the sky. Buzz! On the Yama edge, it was a lightning strike. Elder of Kunlun clan explosively retreated as his forehead tightened. "Little girl!" His moves were repelled. The legend palace youth laughed lightly, as expected of the young valley master of the Night King Valley. He is very clear on the secret techniques of the various great sects, and even the confusion great art of the Karakoram clan knows how to break it. Elder of Kunlun clan shouted, "You're still in the mood to laugh? Are you happy to see me lose face?" The legend palace youth said, "You choose. Who do you want to deal with?" Elder of Kunlun clan said, "Isn't that woman good at talking? Then I shall tear open her mouth and see if her cultivation is as strong as her mouth." Shwa! Elder of Kunlun clan rushed out again. At the same time, the young man from Legend Palace stared at Long Fei and sneered, "Then your life is mine." Buzz! It disappeared on the spot like a black line pulled out. F***CK, you made me look so weak. Long Fei was a little unhappy. "Anyone can kill me?" His fists shook. Buzz! The aura on Long Fei's body also abruptly changed as he released his idea. Every single strand of aura in the air was within his senses, and the moment he sensed the aura of the young legend palace, the Yama edge in Long Fei's hands chopped downwards. Boom! The saber sliced through the air, shattering the void. The aura of the teenager from Legend Palace was shattered, but in this instant, the palm above Long Fei's head struck down heavily, directly facing the top of Long Fei's head. The Legend Palace youth laughed out loud. "You're too weak." Breaking through the idea's aura could not hurt him, but now, this palm attack. Long Fei's mind sank, his left arm moved. His palm struck out to block. "Power of Buddha, explode for me." Buzz! A Buddhist bell rang out. Long Fei's left arm moved to block the attack, as though it was a palm. Crack! Long Fei's body sunk. His fists were instantly smashed into the ground. The joints of his arms released an even louder cracking sound, as he was unable to bear the impact of such a powerful force. "Ha ha ha!" The Legend Palace youth laughed out wildly and said, "Long Fei, accept your death." His left palm moved again. Another palm attack came. Long Fei's left arm had been crippled, so the power of Buddha was not his match at all. He did not panic at all. His eyes turned sinister as he yelled in his heart, "Ultimate boxing!" His right fist moved. Buzz. As he gathered his power, the entire atmosphere in the auction hall disappeared. He struck his palm at the teenager from Legend Palace. "Come, rumble, rumble, rumble." The moment the fist and palm collided, a violent explosion occurred from the power of the shock wave. The Legend Palace youth directly smashed into the ceiling and heavily fell down, spitting out a large mouthful of blood. Right at this moment, his arm began to crack. Bang, bang, bang. Explosions rang out one after another. He couldn't control it at all. His arm exploded. Half of his body was blown away. In the end, even the head was blown off. The entire audience was slightly startled. Many people's hearts turned cold. This was the powerhouse in Legend Palace. They actually died. The purple-clothed girl's forehead tightened. Suddenly, the purple-clothed girl suddenly shouted, "Long Fei, watch out!" The moment the purple-clothed girl became distracted, Elder of Kunlun clan grabbed hold of her and shouted out coldly, "You should be the one being careful." Boom! His palm turned into a claw that grabbed towards the purple-clothed girl's throat. Long Fei felt a chill behind his back at this moment. He was like a prey being watched. He was unable to move, and could die if he moved even a little. In the void, a figure walked out. Young Legend Palace. Not dead. Long Fei didn't know, but he could be sure that the youth in front of him was exactly the same as the youth before him, with no differences at all. The young man from Legend Palace said coldly, "Looks like the news that the Devil Island sent back is true. You indeed have a fist technique that can kill people. Fortunately, I was prepared." Ha ha ha. You need a long time to use your fist technique, right? Hee hee. Long Fei, what other moves do you have now? Ha ha ha. The Legend Palace was powerful. The strongest power in the Primordial War was only second to the main temple. When Long Fei left the island, Legend Palace knew that they were also swiftly collecting everything related to Long Fei. The Blasting Fist was one of them. Many people in the Devil Island knew about this fist art. It wasn't hard to collect them. Long Fei was shocked and laughed. "Looks like there is someone who wishes for me to die early. Is it a sovereign or your so-called son of God?" The Legend Palace's youth laughed. "The auction was actually not targeting you, but you were the one who wanted to get involved. If you could hand over that god steel back then, you might have been able to live a few more days, but now—" Hee hee, then let's die together. As soon as he finished, the Legend Palace youth's body erupted with an extremely powerful force. It was as if the wind had swept away the clouds. "Long Fei, die!" An explosion sounded in the air as a sword appeared in the Legend Palace youth's hand, and he thrusted it towards the center of Long Fei's brows. Fast, accurate, ruthless. There was no way to dodge. Long Fei also did not think of dodging. The idea moved. The power of critical strike, fuse. The power of breaking through armor, fuse. Boom, boom. When the two energies fused into his body, Long Fei used his body to rush out at the same time. Puchi, the long sword pierced into his body. Long Fei used his bones to block the long sword and laughed sinisterly. "Is it my turn now?" Chapter 2002, Crown Prince. Chapter 2002, Crown Prince Long Fei was a madman. Many people knew. The people of the Legend Palace also knew that Long Fei clearly knew that the 9 reborn spiritual flowers was fake, but he still wanted to be involved. If he wasn't crazy, then what was he? However, what the Legend Palace youth did not expect was that he was actually this crazy to use his own body to trap his sword. How crazy was this? He simply didn't care about his life. One had to know that the power on his long sword was not just any ordinary injury. As the long sword entered his body, the power on the sword would erupt, and so would the power he infused into the sword. He couldn't withstand it at all. His body would directly shake into mud, but Long Fei did not care at all. He forcefully endured the pain. Yi Zichen stared at him with a dark expression. At this moment, the Legend Palace youth's heart sank. Madman! At the same time, he felt a chill in his heart. Long Fei's actions were too crazy. In an instant, when the Yama edge slashed down, Long Fei roared out, besides the blasting fist, "I still have another life that doesn't care about my life. Have you collected this yet?" Rumble! It furiously slashed down. The power of armor breaking and the power of critical strikes exploded in all directions. The Legend Palace youth did not manage to pull out his sword in time. Watching the Yama edge fall, his body started to emit rays of divine light, and it was as if his body had turned golden. Buzz. You want to hurt me? Humph. I've been dreaming my whole life. The Legend Palace youth sneered. His attacks were strong, and his defense was just as strong. As long as they could enter the battleground, they would be able to be ranked as one of the top powerhouses in the primordial divine war. In the ancient war, they were fearless. However, he simply did not understand Long Fei, nor did he understand his strength. The saber slashed down. Strength ignored defense. Even if it was a golden body possession, it would still strike you down. Walala! Golden light scattered in all directions. Unable to endure it any longer, a long, bright red number floated up above the Legend Palace youth's head. It dealt nearly 20 million damage. He made a sudden stroke. The Legend Palace youth vomited blood. This move had taken half of his life. Never. No one in the human race could injure him to such an extent, and it was even under his strongest defense. Bam! He landed heavily on the ground. The youth's expression turned savage as he shouted, "Impossible! You can't hurt me. Absolutely impossible." Long Fei grinned and laughed. "I can even kill Destiny God, and not even injure you. Are you stronger than me?" Suddenly, Long Fei took a step forward, and the Yama edge in his hands chopped down again. The air shattered. The lightning blade chi was released. The Legend Palace youth rolled on the ground, barely dodging a single strike. However, when the lightning sword chi landed on his body, another 1,000,000 points of damage floated up. The power of breaking armor, ignoring all defenses, coupled with the 100% critical strike. This effect was simply too awesome. The Legend Palace youth was in a very sorry state. His heart was raging, but Long Fei would not give him the chance to stand up. While he's sick, take his life. He was going to die if he was to be crippled. Boom. Li Yuanba's body slightly sunk as he consecutively retreated a few steps back. He was so excited that he started laughing heartily. Amazing, interesting, ha! Gate of life, open. Buzz. The strength in his body increased once again. A dense aura coiled around his body like a black flame. The white-haired old man's forehead tightened. He's here. Li Yuanba crazily rushed forward. Boom. Boom. Monster? So what if I am a monster? Wang Tai bellowed heavily, twisted off one of the golden poison corpse's arms, and threw it in front of the Wang family elder. The poison released from the golden poison corpse was completely useless against Wang Tai. It was completely unaffected. The golden poison corpse was completely oppressed by Wang Tai. It didn't even have the chance to retaliate. He had already thrown away the burden of being a monster, and since he was a monster, it was fine to be a monster. No one in this world would dare to laugh at a powerhouse, even if powerhouse is a monster. Elder Wang's expression was ice cold as he clenched his fists tightly and shouted, "Kill him! Kill him! Kill him for me!" They were filled with incomparable hatred. A few Zhao family powerhouses surrounded Wang Tai. Wang Tai looked down upon them and laughed coldly. "Come, everyone from the three great families, come." It was as if he had gone insane. The purple-clothed young girl was in danger and was slightly unable to withstand it, even though she understood the techniques and moves of the Karakoram. But her own cultivation was not strong, but she was still a middle-stage lower god cultivator. Her strength was not in battle. If not for a few Night King Valley killers blocking the damage for her, she would have died a long time ago. When the Karakoram clan elder saw the young man from Legend Palace lying heavily on the ground, his brows tightened and he shouted, "Kid, you dare to hurt him." The purple-clothed girl was also startled. "Who is he?" Elder of Kunlun clan replied, "Crown Prince." The purple-clothed girl's eyes shook, and her heart sank as well. Sovereign Crown Prince? The founder of the Legend Palace, the #1 powerhouse of the ancient god battle, the super powerhouse of the main temple, and also the commander of the Light faction, who controls the battleground. That's right, his eldest son. If anything happens to him, everyone here will be buried with him. Elder of Kunlun clan stared at the purple-clothed girl. Then his footsteps quickened. Buzz. He landed beside Crown Prince, stared at Long Fei and shouted, "Brat, you dare touch him again." At this moment, the tens of thousands of HP floating above Crown Prince's head. This level of HP was only a single KO. He was a boss after all. This was the first boss that they had encountered since arriving at the ancient god battle. How could they not explode? If he encountered a boss that didn't drop, would he still be considered a human? Animals are about the same. Long Fei grinned and said, "I've already moved so many times. How would I care about moving a little more?" At this time, the purple-clothed girl also quickly rushed over and pulled Long Fei back, saying, "This person cannot be killed." Crown Prince crawled up from the ground, his hair in a mess. He looked extremely miserable. He stared at Long Fei with sinister eyes and said, "Long Fei, as long as you stay in the primordial divine war, you will be hunted down forever. Just you wait. You want to kill me? Humph. If I die, everyone in this city will die with me. Try touching me, Crown Prince of the primordial divine war. Who dared to move? Let alone the power of the main temple. Even the power of the Legend Palace did not belong to any of the families or sections." The corner of Long Fei's mouth drew back, and he laughed coldly. "Io, you're very arrogant. I like arrogant people like you. Because I was born to like trampling all over you arrogant people. Crown Prince, go to hell." Long Fei moved. He rushed forward. Crown Prince? Which Crown Prince would he care about? Even if the Emperor was in front of him, he would still kill him without hesitation. No one could stop him from destroying the boss heart. That's crazy. Chapter 2003, Mind Lost in Egg Poison. Chapter 2003, Mind Lost in Egg Poison. They saw Long Fei move. Crown Prince tensed up and immediately shouted, "Block it for me! Block it for me! Quick, quick, quick!" Fear rose in his heart. Long Fei was a madman, an absolute madman. He was the Crown Prince, so who would dare to touch him in the ancient god battle? No one could afford the consequences. But Long Fei was a madman. Elder of Kunlun clan blocked in front of Long Fei with a step and said with a heavy tone, "Scram!" As soon as his voice faded, an incredibly dense chi of innate divine powers burst out, forming a powerful shockwave. With a hum, it struck Long Fei's body. A loud explosion resounded. Long Fei fiercely retreated. He went back to his original position, his face twisted. The purple-clothed girl once again grabbed Long Fei's arm, lightly shook her head, and said, you can't touch him. Previously, the purple-clothed girl didn't know the identity of the youth. She only knew that he was the powerhouse in Legend Palace, but now that she knew he was the crown prince, she definitely could not make a move against him. Otherwise, the consequences would be unimaginable. If you don't let me move, I will still move. Today, I refuse to believe that I can't kill you. If he did not kill the boss, then he was not called Long Fei. Long Fei rushed out again. The Kunlun powerhouse shouted and said angrily, "You're overestimating yourself." The crown prince shouted in anger, "Kill him!" The elder of Kunlun clan's eyes darkened as the innate true divine force on his body was released as if it was burning flames, forming a strangling power that surrounded Long Fei without waiting for Long Fei to charge forward. At this moment, Li Yuanba rushed forward. Boom! "You dare to touch my boss? Do you want to die?" With his strong physique, Li Yuanba was not even able to move in the slightest within the chi of the innate true origin released by the elder of Kunlun clan. The black giant spirit axe in his hand hacked down. Buzz! A large piece of it was shattered. At the same time, the gods' commercial alliances' white-haired powerhouse also flew over, blocking Long Fei once again. Crown Prince cannot die. If something were to happen to him, just as the elder of Kunlun clan had said, everyone here would die with him. Buzz! An enormous power once again blocked Long Fei. "I'll do it!" Boom! Wang Tai twisted off the head of the golden poison corpse and rushed out. The heavenly bone force exploded out completely, blocking the power that the white-haired old man released. Long Fei took another step forward and landed in front of Crown Prince. The expression in the Crown Prince's eyes trembled as he said in a heavy voice, "Long Fei, you can't kill me, and you don't dare to kill me either. You will die. Everyone here will die. And all those trash, like you, from the Devil Island, who have become a god, will all die. Is that so?" The Karakoram clan's elders, the white-haired old man, Wang, Qi, and the elders from the other big clans also rushed to the side of Crown Prince's corpse. Elder of Kunlun clan's eyes turned sinister. He looked at the crumbling Long Fei and shouted, "Kill him!" Long Fei was someone that the main temple wanted. He is the man the Son of God wants. If he could obtain Long Fei's head, perhaps main temple could appear, and the godchild could appear to pacify the sky god's anger. Long Fei had to die. If Long Fei did not die, then they will be the ones to die. Bam! Long Fei fell to the ground, his face filled with pain. Dragon-shaped mark. Dragon fire. Burn! No matter how Long Fei called out, the dragon-shaped mark remained silent and did not emit any kind of dragon fire that could devour poison. Long Fei's consciousness also started to become more and more blurry. Who would have thought that someone would plant such a highly toxic poison into their own son's body? "Boss!" Li Yuanba roared, his eyes turning sinister. He turned and stared at the people rushing forward, and bellowed, "Fuck your ancestors!" The black, infernal energy on his body exploded forth. The surrounding dozen people were directly crushed into powder. Endless rage. The purple-clothed girl made her decision immediately, saying, "Assassins in Night King Valley, listen up, stop them. Now is not the time to fight. I have to take him out and find the cure quickly. Otherwise..." The purple-clothed girl's forehead tightened. Li Yuanba asked, "How's the General Assembly?" The purple-clothed girl said in a heavy voice, "He will die. His soul and mind will be completely drained. The eternal seal is in a certain place. There is no way to find it. Faster! Get out of here. Thank you for your support." Chapter 2004, Mad Killer. Chapter 2004, Mad Killer. If Crown Prince died, many people would die. God's commercial alliances. Karakoram. The great clans of Zhao, Wang, Qi, and Chun of the City of Martial Arts will all die. However, if they could catch Long Fei, they might not even die. Thus, when the purple-clothed girl said that she wanted to escape from the city of martial arts, the elder of Kunlun clan immediately shouted, "Stop them! You absolutely cannot let them escape." The killer of Night King Valley blocked the attack. In God's commercial alliances, the experts from the various great families were also rushing forward. All of a sudden, the entire God's hotel was filled with killing intent as blood flowed like a river. However, the killer of the night, King Valley, did not last long, as the purple-clothed girl had not even managed to rush out of the God's hotel before she was once again caught in a heavy encirclement. "Take our boss away first. I'll cover for you." Wang Tai took the lead and blocked the front. However, without waiting for him to finish speaking, shouts of war came from outside the God's hotel as they surrounded the door. The elder of Kunlun clan sneered, "You won't be able to escape. Today, all of you must die here and pay with your lives for the crown prince's death." "Uft," Li Yuanba shouted. "I want to see who dares to come up." All of Night King Valley's assassins had died, and only the 4 of them were left to break out of City of Martial Arts. It was simply too difficult. Under such heavy encirclement, all the warriors in the City of Martial Arts would stop them, because if they escape, the whole city will die. The purple-clothed girl's forehead was locked tight. He couldn't think of any way. The influence of the crown prince was too terrifying, and Long Fei was in a severe coma. The mind-lostinic poison, this kind of soul, had to have an antidote for this type of poison in their mind. Otherwise, they would never be able to wake up. Boom! Both sides took a step forward, and the encirclement shrunk again. Wang Tai shouted, "Fight it out with them." The violet-robed maiden immediately said, "Don't be rash." Li Yuanba said, "Other than going all out, is there any other way?" "No. Damn it. If anyone dares to touch even a hair on the boss, I will blast them until they can't even enter hell." Clenching his fists tightly, his joints cracked. Li Yuanba was furious in his heart, but at the same time, he was panicking. He had endless strength, but he could not stop there. There were too many people in City of Martial Arts, so he couldn't run away. The white-haired old man from the Middle God, the old man from the Karakoram clan, no one could withstand the combined might of the 2 powerhouses. Li Yuanba thought, "It would be great if all of you were here." If even the 8 King Kong was present, there was no need to be afraid of the deities. The purple-clothed girl kept thinking, "With the 3 of us, it's not hard to find a way out. But he's unconscious, so—" It was hard to think of rushing out with an unconscious person. And then, when the purple-clothed girl saw the coffin on Li Yuanba's back, she immediately said, "Luby, can your coffin hold a person?" "Huh." Li Yuanba was startled and said, "My coffin? Are you saying that we should leave the boss inside and kill the 3 of us?" The purple-clothed girl looked at Li Yuanba and nodded, "With your divine power, as long as Long Fei is in a safe place, it won't be hard for us to kill our way out." Even though it was unlucky to have a living person in a coffin. However, at this time, Li Yuanba didn't think too much and said, "All right." In that instant, the Titan God's stone coffin on his back shook. Boom! As the lid of the sarcophagus fell, a purplish-black and shining Titan lay inside. He was like a vivid and lifelike big dumpling that had fallen into a deep sleep. Li Yuanba leveled up. The guys in the sarcophagus also leveled up. However, Li Yuanba had never used the power of the giant spirit god before. And then, the purple-clothed girl then placed Long Fei into the sarcophagus. Li Yuanba slightly said, "Boss, I have wronged you." Boom. After the sarcophagus was covered once again, Li Yuanba placed it on his back and clenched his fists tightly. Pure energy exploded outwards, forming a powerful explosion. Hee. Li Yuanba grinned innocently and said, "Come now." There were no worries now. He could just kill them all he wanted. Elder of Kunlun clan frowned and said coldly, "Do you think you can escape just because of this? You all have no idea what the death of Crown Prince means. You have no idea how terrifying he is. Everyone listen up. You definitely can't let the four of them escape. Otherwise, the city of martial arts will become a river of blood. Kill them all. Kill." The overwhelming number of warriors rushed up. Pincer attack. If they were to fight, they would have to fight. If Long Fei didn't die, they would die. Li Yuanba said solemnly, "Come." The broken sect. Open. Diamond forbidden technique. The 3 doors in Li Yuanba's body suddenly opened. An incomparably thick power, gate of pain, burst out. Holding onto the giant spirit axe with one hand, he took a step forward, and the pure power from his body swept out like a fierce wind. The giant spirit axe swept over. A large number of people were sent flying. The purple-clothed girl and Wang Tai followed closely behind. "Come on, come with me." Li Yuanba started killing crazily. "Those who block me die." Elder of Kunlun clan did not attack, but kept on pressing on. He was waiting for the moment Li Yuanba relaxed. The white-haired powerhouse was also waiting for Ben to be shot. In another area, Legend Palace. The Wang clan disciples were all scared silly. Li Yuanba stood behind Wang Tai and firmly blocked the attacks of the others. However, at this moment, Elder of Kunlun clan, the white-haired powerhouse, and the others who had been hiding in the crowd, all this while suddenly moved. The violet-robed maiden immediately shouted, "Careful!" Right and left pincers. It directly flew towards Li Yuanba. It was too fast. For 3 days and 3 nights, they waited without making a move. He was waiting for a chance to make a move. In the face of Wang Tai's madness, in the face of Li Yuanba's rash actions, this was too good of an opportunity. Li Yuanba reacted quickly, but in his current state, no matter how fast he reacted, his physical body would not be able to keep up. Boom, boom. Right and left pincers. Li Yuanba's body trembled on the spot. The left and right ribs were broken. He spat out a mouthful of black blood, his face as pale as paper. However, Li Yuanba laughed foolishly and said, "Is that all you have?" He forced himself to stay here. Elder of Kunlun clan laughed coldly and said, "Even at this time, you're still holding on? Your internal organs are all rotten. Can you still hold on?" Li Yuanba, heavily injured. Chapter 2006, 6 Gates Open, Extremely Violent. Chapter 2006, 6 Gates Open. Extremely violent, the sneak attack of the Middle God's powerhouse. Either he didn't make a move, or he would be killed in a single blow. If it was anyone else, they would have died long ago. However, Li Yuanba's physical body was completely different from ordinary people. His physical body had been thoroughly tempered, but even so, in a situation where his strength was exhausted, he still received heavy injuries. Wang Tai also suddenly woke up from his stupor, turned around and looked at Li Yuanba, whose mouth was continuously bleeding black blood. In an instant, he rushed to his side and supported him. Li Yuanba said naively, "It's fine. What's wrong with this little injury?" The purple-clothed girl frowned as she screamed in her heart, "Crap!" Li Yuanba was their strongest fighting force. If he was severely injured, he would definitely not be able to make it out of this 100-meter distance. What should he do? The purple-clothed girl was panicking. "You still want to argue?" "Ha ha ha. Luby, you will die soon. Why hold on any longer? Hand Long Fei over, and we will let you die quietly." the elder of Kunlun clan, said with a smile. When he had used his full strength in that previous move, Li Yuanba in this state would definitely not be able to withstand it. Uff, a mouthful of black blood rolled on the right side of his chest, and he couldn't help but spit it out. Li Yuanba's body became even weaker. The white-haired powerhouse revealed a smile and said, "You can't hold on any longer, right? Ha ha ha. You being able to persevere for so long, I really admire you. If I had more time, you could have obtained middle god, or even a high god. What a pity you chose the wrong master and followed someone who is destined to die. Otherwise, the ancient divine war would definitely have a world of its own for you." Elder of Kunlun clan said, "All right, hand him over." Hoo. Li Yuanba looked like he was gasping for breath. The coffin behind him suddenly dropped to the ground. Boom! The coffin fell to the ground, and the ground shook violently. The white-haired powerhouse and the elder of Kunlun clan revealed a complacent smile. With Li Yuanba being heavily injured, the purple-clothed girl, and Wang Tai would not be a problem. The coffins fell. It seemed like he really couldn't take it anymore. Inside the coffin, the eyes of the giant spirit god's corpse suddenly opened. At the same time, a ray of power flowed into Long Fei's body. And then, the giant spirit god's corpse regained its silence, as if it had fallen into a deep slumber again. However, the powerful giant spirit god aura on its body had disappeared. Long Fei's mind sounded out. "Long Fei, Long Fei, Long Fei. Who's calling me? Who is it?" The giant spirit god's voice pierced straight into Long Fei's sea of consciousness. "I am the Titan. Li Yuanba is in danger. You must wake up. Big guy. Me. The giant spirit god knew that Long Fei was trying really hard, but he couldn't even feel his own sea of consciousness. How could he wake up? "Use my body." Long Fei trembled. "Is that all right?" The Titan said, "With your strength, there shouldn't be a problem." Many of the powerhouses are getting closer and closer to the city of martial arts. You have to wake up. You have to wake up. And only if you wake up can you stop everything. Long Fei said, anxiously, "Then let me control your body." The Titan god said, "All right, I will activate the soul transfer spell." Li Yuanba said solemnly, "If you want my lord's life, then come up and take it." Ha ha ha. Still holding on? Let's see how long you can last. Elder of Kunlun clan was getting impatient. He looked at the white-haired powerhouse, and his eyes lit up. In that instant, the two of them worked together again. The powerhouse of the middle god was extremely powerful. How fast is he? In the blink of an eye, they had disappeared into the sky as two powerful forces surged towards Li Yuanba. The purple-clothed girl's expression changed, and she said, "Lubi, be careful." "Brother Li, be careful." Wang Tai wanted to block off the side, but he realized Li Yuanba, who was beside him, had suddenly disappeared. At this time, Li Yuanba did not have the strength to fight back. How could he suddenly disappear? There was an explosion in the air. Gate of limit, open. Gate of view, open. Die door, open. The 3 doors were opened, which was 6 of the 8 gates. This was Li Yuanba's current limit. The Gate of Wonder was one of the 8 gates. He couldn't open it, but the opening of these 6 gates was enough to shock the world and make the spirits cry. However, in this state, opening the 6 gates would cause great harm to his body, especially to his longevity. However, he was King Kong. He was the head of Long Fei's 8 King Kong, and his life was born for Long Fei. The 3 gates opened wide, and the power in Li Yuanba's body poured into the sea like a great river. In the blink of an eye, boom, boom, with 2 loud bangs, one in each hand, it was like carrying 2 chickens. Everyone was dumbfounded. In the air, Li Yuanba was like a Vajra. Looking at the two in his hands, the 6 energy in his body burned frantically. You two want my boss's life. You guys are qualified as well. As soon as he finished, Li Yuanba's body dropped from the sky. With one hand grabbing onto one, he smashed fiercely into the ground. Rumble! 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 The ground started to crack crazily, and the city of martial arts started to tremble. The surrounding hundreds of kilometers were all filled with tremors. This move, the white-haired powerhouse, and the elder of Kunlun clan instantly lost half their lives. Fresh blood crazily spurted from their mouths. Chapter 2007, The Awakening of the Titan. Chapter 2007, The Awakening of the Titan. Shwa. 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 Rays of golden light fell upon the city walls. One incomparably sharp aura after another began to spread out. A dozen or so powerhouses, dozens of cold eyes stared at Li Yuanba, and the other two, the Lord of Legend Palace, is here. It's the people from the Legend Palace. Are they going to slaughter the city? Master, the 3 of them are the ones who killed Crown Prince. The ones who are them. Originally, the people who were completely crushed by Li Yuanba had all started to seethe with excitement. The arrival of the powerhouse in Legend Palace had caused them to feel even more afraid, because they were worried that these powerhouse were here to kill them. It had to be known that in the powerhouse in Legend Palace, even the combined forces of the entire city of martial arts wouldn't be a match for him. Li Yuanba's forehead sank. The purple-dressed woman's expression also changed. It's powerhouse in Legend Palace. Be careful. Wang Tai had also heard of the Legend Palace. This was the first time a dozen or so powerhouse had appeared at the same time. In other words, today they were unable to leave the city of martial arts. Boom! His figure moved, and the moment he landed, the ground suddenly shook. A strong wind blew away the sand and rocks. In the blink of an eye, he had landed in front of Li Yuanba. Li Yuanba secretly clenched both his fists as he felt the limitless power the man in front of him had, to the point where he was almost unable to endure it any longer. Now, the power of Li Yuanba's 6 open doors had already disappeared. His body was in incomparable discomfort, and he was completely relying on brute force. It could collapse at any moment. Facing Legend Palace at this time, Li Yuanba grinned and said, "So what if I am?" Very arrogant. He was the King Kong, and the King Kong must have the aura of the King Kong. "So what if you're a Legend Palace?" "I'm just not afraid." The man lightly said, "Very good." At this time, the people at the side shouted loudly. It was not him who killed them. The one who killed Crown Prince is hiding in the coffin on his back. It's the brat inside. Oh. The man's brows twitched, looked at Li Yuanba, and said, "Hand the person over. I'll leave an intact corpse for you." Li Yuanba laughed innocently and said, "If you have the guts, come and snatch it." Buzz. With a loud rumbling sound, Li Yuanba's body swayed, slightly. It was simply overdrawing his life. "Humph. With just you overestimate yourself." As soon as he finished, the man's eyes darkened. He dashed forward and struck out with his palm. Li Yuanba's reaction was also fast as he threw out a punch and roared out, "Relying on this daddy." However, the moment his power came into contact with it, it was as if his power was instantly strangled to death. His entire body was in extreme pain, and he felt incomparable discomfort. Boom! His body flew out and crashed into the ground 100 meters away. A building collapsed, burying Li Yuanba within the ruins. Insensible. "Brother Li, son of the Lubi," Wang Tai and the purple-clothed girl shouted. "Ah!" Wang Tai roared. The power of the God's Bone taboo in his body erupted even more crazily. He immediately pulled out a black ancient blade from his body and slashed out. Another one is courting death. The man's eyes turned cold. He did not even put Wang Tai in his eyes. His body flickered, and his palms swept across the air. Boom! Wang Tai's body was blown away and smashed into a straight line, turning a building into ruins. 2 moves. It was as though he had no power at all, but they were instantly killed. This power, this cultivation base, terrifying. The violet-robed maiden's body couldn't help but begin to tremble slightly. The powerhouse in Legend Palace was too powerful. Furthermore, this was just one person, and there were more than 10 people standing on top of the city walls. How could they be his match? He couldn't beat them at all. The purple-clothed girl was constantly thinking of ways, but this time she really couldn't think of any. It had to be known that this was a world of powerhouse. Before you become strong enough, any method will be useless as a paper tiger. The Legend Palace man looked at the purple-clothed girl and said coldly, "Night King's descendant, is the crown prince here for you? Hand over the blood sacrifice bracelet. I will leave you with a complete corpse." The purple-clothed girl said solemnly, "Since you know that I am Night Queen, then you should understand the relationship between the Night King Valley and the main temple, and the relationship between thee and the sovereign. You dare." Not waiting for her to finish, the man moved slightly and instantly landed in front of the purple-clothed youth. The distance between them was less than 10 centimeters, and the man said coldly, "There is nothing in this world that Legend Palace doesn't dare to do." Her voice was cold. The violet-robed maiden couldn't withstand it at all. His face was incomparably pale. F***CK. Are you bullying my sister-in-law? You're courting death. Rumble. There was an explosion from the rubble, and an enormous figure charged out. Li Yuanba. The man raised his eyes and sneered, "He's not dead yet. Is his life really that tough?" Without waiting for Li Yuanba to fall, the man disappeared and hovered in midair. With one foot on Li Yuanba's head, the chi on his body exploded, and he shouted, "Fall for me!" Boom! Li Yuanba's body was like a nail nailed firmly to the ground. He simply could not control it, and he could not control it either. Rumble! The other half of its body was inserted into the ground. The giant spirit coffin on his back also tumbled to the side. The joints of his feet cracked. All of them shattered. Li Yuanba spat out a mouthful of black blood, and his face became even paler, but there was no fear in his eyes. He felt displeased. If he did not consume 3 days and 3 nights, he would have definitely made this so-called powerhouse in Legend Palace eat feces. But now, under his heavy injuries, his strength had already started to dry up. However, he was Li Yuanba. He was King Kong. He still had more power. The idea moved. The Titan spirit god that was connected to the giant spirit coffin roared out loudly, "Titan spirit god!" Boom! The lid of the coffin was suddenly lifted. His strength shook violently, but the Titan didn't rush out in an instant. Everyone looked at the coffin, and after half a minute, they all started laughing. Ha ha! Ha ha ha! I always thought that there was some sort of powerful secret behind his coffin. It looks like. So it's just a joke. Ha ha ha! It's scary to carry a coffin on your back. So you're just here to act cool. He's probably prepared to die for himself at any moment. Ha ha ha! Everyone laughed. Powerhouse and Legend Palace also sneered coldly. Li Yuanba frowned. He did not understand. Why would it be like this? Why is this happening? Why can't I sense the Titan God? Why do I feel like the Titan has fallen into a deep sleep? Why? At this moment, Li Yuanba panicked a little. This was the first time in his life that he could not sense the existence of the Titan. However, At this moment, a pitch-black hand suddenly stretched out from within the coffin. Chapter 2008, Berserk. Chapter 2008, Berserk. A black African hand suddenly stretched out. The entire audience went into an uproar. Everyone widened their eyes and looked over. Li Yuanba's eyes moved. He could not help but become excited. However, he still couldn't sense the aura of the Titan. Boom! The Titan god suddenly stood up from the coffin. In his hand was not the giant spirit axe, but a black broadsword. Long Fei's Yama edge. Li Yuanba was a little confused. What's the situation? The surrounding people slowly retreated. The man from the Legend Palace laughed in disdain. You're just pretending to be mysterious. As soon as he finished, his entire body was sent flying. A powerful pressure was released as his palms struck down. Die! With a cold shout, the Legend Palace's attack had already landed. Giant spirit god. To be exact, it should be Long Fei right now. Long Fei stood in place without moving an inch. When the attack landed on his body, he didn't feel any pain at all, not even the strength needed to tickle him. With a flick of his body, he landed in midair, which was more than 10 meters away, stared at Long Fei with sinister and cold eyes, and muttered, "Giant spirit god." Li Yuanba laughed out loud. "Kill him for me." Half of his body was nailed to the ground, and blood was trickling from the corner of his mouth. There were wounds all over his body. The violet-clothed young girl was more or less the same. Wang Tai disappeared. When Long Fei saw all of this, the flames of fury in his heart started to burn, and even instantly burned to a height of 30,000 meters. He was unconscious for 3 days and 3 nights. If not for the giant spirit god's soul transfer, he would still be in a coma right now. He didn't know what had happened while he was unconscious, but now he knew. On top of the city wall, a man said, "Since that big guy was the one who made it, even if it's undead creatures, as long as we kill the Baldy, the undead creatures will naturally fall apart." "You're right." The man smiled and said, "Then you will die first." Shwa. The man moved once again as he descended from the air, smashing his palm towards Li Yuanba's head. Long Fei raised his eyes slightly. "Those who hurt my brother die?" The body of the Titan spirit god was very huge, even bigger than Li Yuanba's body. His physical body was a divine body, and adding on the power of hell, his physical body would become even stronger. At that moment, Long Fei moved and completely controlled the giant spirit god's body. His speed was extremely fast. He had never felt such a violent power before. Boom! He landed beside Li Yuanba first, and not waiting for the man to fall, Long Fei swept the Yama edge blade in his hand away. Bam! It was like cutting something. The man's body was sent flying. Long Fei did not stop. His body slightly swayed. Shwa! Again. He landed on the side, and before the man landed on the ground, the back of his blade moved. Shwa! He swept out again. The man from Legend Palace flew towards another direction. Long Fei's body still did not stop moving. Shwa! Shwa! Whoosh, whoosh, whoosh! Asterisk 10 times in a row. Everyone was stunned, including Li Yuanba herself. She muttered, "Giant spirit god's power. It shouldn't be like this, right? Could it be Boss? No, no, no. How could Boss be a Titan?" Li Yuanba did not know about the temporary soul transfers from the giant spirit god and Long Fei. Right now, lying in the coffin was Long Fei, but it was actually the mind of the Titan, the sea of consciousness. However, Long Fei's was released. This sort of soul-type technique couldn't be used for too long. If it was used too long, it would harm the brain. Then again, in the soul exchange between Long Fei and the Titan spirit god, his system was still in his body, in his brain. The system was his strongest secret. Even the Titan spirit god wouldn't know. Thus, Long Fei had to return to real face. However, now, he didn't have to worry. 10 horizontal slashes. The aura of the Legend Palace was completely gone, and he was ruthlessly ravaged to death by Long Fei just like that. The entire audience was silent. There was no sound at all. It was also at this time Wang Tai crawled out from the ruins, and upon seeing the powerhouse in Legend Palace dead on the ground, he couldn't help but laugh out loud. No matter how crazy you are, your sister. Long Fei looked at Wang Tai and immediately said, "Get him up. You three, hurry, and leave the city." The purple-clothed girl felt that the giant spirit god was Long Fei and couldn't help but ask, "What about you?" Long Fei looked at the dozens of Legend Palace S on the wall and said, "I'll be behind." At this moment, another Legend Palace descended. Boom. "You want to leave?" "Humph, it won't be that easy." However, the instant he landed on the ground, the Yama edge in Long Fei's hand moved once again. The power of half a main artifact exploded out completely as it slashed downwards. Shwa! That person's body instantly became 2 halves. Long Fei's heart was in great pain because the system hadn't brought him over, so he couldn't gain any EXP at all. Right now, he did not even know what had happened in Crown Prince. Blood splattered everywhere. Long Fei shouted loudly, "Fuck, who else is there?" Insolent to the point of being a complete mess, even the powerhouse in Legend Palace looked down on him. The moment they appeared, they would be instantly killed. Who would be able to block them? "Come again! Who else dares to stop me?" Long Fei roared heavily. The remaining Legend Palace S were also slightly shocked, and were slightly shocked. Wang Tai supported Li Yuanba as he smiled excitedly at the Titan spirit god while carrying the coffin. He knew that the boss must be controlling the Titan spirit god inside its body. If not, who would have thought the boss would have such an arrogant personality? The purple-clothed girl also came up to support Li Yuanba. The 3 of them walked towards the city gate. Once they left the city, they would be able to escape. Long Fei stood where he was without moving, the chi around his body suppressing the enemy. Whoever dared to move would die. On the city wall, the dozen or so powerhouse S trembled slightly. No one can afford the death of the Crown Prince. "I have to stop him. We can't let them go." And AMP, Legend Palace, was the strongest power in the primordial divine war, and even directly connected to the existence of the main temple, no matter who they wanted their life, for they wouldn't be able to escape. They were the masters of this world. How could they let Long Fei escape? In that instant, dozens of voices sounded out in unison, and all of them fell to the ground. Powerhouse in Legend Palace didn't even want to join hands, but now, the power that erupted from Long Fei's body forced them to join hands. Long Fei was surrounded by dozens of powerhouse. Moreover, at this moment, the other warriors from City of Martial Arts also surrounded him, surrounding him so tightly that not even a drop of water could leak out. He couldn't get out at all. Li Yuanba wanted to turn back. Long Fei shouted loudly, "Go!" It was also at this time the giant spirit god's voice suddenly sounded. "Long Fei, it's almost time. If you don't come back soon, your soul will never come back. Give me a little more time. Just a little is enough." Long Fei's heart sank. His fists clenched tightly. "I still have another thousands of people beheaded that I have not used." Chapter 2009, Thousands of People Beheaded. Tu Chung. Chapter 2009, Thousands of People Beheaded. Tu Chung. There was no time. The soul was a very important part of a person's body. No soul is equal to a vegetable. More importantly, the system would also be forever asleep in Long Fei's body. The system was the foundation of Long Fei's standing. If it was gone, then it would be an immeasurable loss. The system also had too many unknown secrets. Who made it? Then who planted it in Long Fei's sea of consciousness? No matter what, Long Fei didn't even want to lose the system. The Titan urged, I can't hold it off for too long, and your soul can't hold it in my body for too long. In short, Long Fei, you have to be a bit faster. With that, the Titan's voice disappeared from Long Fei's body. He didn't want to give Long Fei too much pressure. As Long Fei watched Li Yuanba and the other two run out of the city of martial arts' gate, his heart relaxed a little. He swept the area with his gaze. 12 Legend Palace, hundreds of disciples from the city of martial arts' 4 great families. Think about it. It's not even enough for 1,000 people. Let me see if you can really slash down and kill 1,000 people. In that instant, Long Fei's mind sank and said faintly, Giant Spirit God, release all of the power within your divine body. Boom! The Titan, the god of power, receiving Long Fei's call, the power within his body erupted out like a flood, and his right hand clenched heavily. Wang! The Yama edge was burning. Black lightning crackled and exploded. Long Fei took a step forward. Wang! Boom! Lightning exploded, and the surroundings were filled with electric fields. Powerhouse and Legend Palace looked at each other and stepped out at the same time. Whoosh, whoosh, whoosh. A dozen or so powerful pressuring auras pressed down on him, causing the Titan god's body to tremble as if he could not take it any longer. All of you, come at me! Long Fei shouted excitedly, his mind becoming one. Knife, heart, strength, fit. In that moment, with one point gathered together, Long Fei's body shot out into the air, reaching a height of 1,000 meters before City of Martial Arts' eyes. One slash. Buzz. The sky darkened. With a sudden pressure, the Legend Palace, chasing from below, suddenly felt an extremely strong pressure and directly plummeted down from the sky. Thousands of people beheaded. He moved. Long Fei held onto his blade with both of his hands, releasing the power of the thousands of people beheaded. Rumble! 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 The blade chi wreaked havoc crazily, covering tens of thousands of kilometers in the sky of the entire City of Martial Arts, and the sky was filled with cracks. The Yama edge's critical strike. Break through the defenses. Speed. Strength. It was also the strongest when compared to the thousands of people beheaded sabersmanship. A furious slash. Rumble. Blade chi that was tens of thousands of kilometers in radius descended from the sky, shooting down like a gigantic beam of light. There was no one alive under the sword in the thousands of people beheaded. Death descended. The gates of hell opened. No one could stop it. Powerhouse and Legend Palace, those warriors of the 4 families, were all instantly killed. Too fierce, too crazy, too strong. The power of thousands of people beheaded. Long Fei felt extremely shocked just by looking at it. Fuck, what a mess. But my experience, my madness. Woo-woo. I want to cry. I feel terrible. These were all experience points. They were items that could give out precious items. It just disappeared. This was a situation where Long Fei did not have a system. He truly felt that it was difficult to adapt, but the excitement of the thousands of people beheaded slightly compensated for that. What happened in the city? How's the boss? Why is there no sound from the city? Li Yuanba's entire body was in extreme pain. His 2 legs were already crippled, and he basically couldn't stand properly. Li Yuanba said, Wang Tai, quickly go take a look. The giant spirit god is the boss. We cannot let anything happen to the boss. Li Yuanba did not say it out loud, but his heart tightened. His prophecy of disaster was still not this. The predicted calamity had yet to appear. However, Long Fei still had a slim chance of survival. How many more times would he have to go through such life or death situations? If a calamity wasn't so dangerous, then what would it be like if a calamity were to appear? Li Yuanba's heart was in pain. No matter how much pain he felt physically, with both of his legs crippled, what was the point in comparing this pain with Long Fei's? Wang Tai quickly rushed back to City of Martial Arts. The moment he stepped into the city, he was stunned. What was called a river of blood? This was the true river of blood. The streets were flooded with blood. The surrounding buildings were all covered in a layer of blood. The entire city was a mess, as if it was hell on earth. The massacre of the people in the city was only mediocre. Not far from the city gate stood a man covered in blood. In his hand was a large black knife. Even when blood was all over the ground, the black knife that was glowing with a black light was not stained with the slightest bit of blood. He was like a god of death. Fierce, terrifying. The aura emitted from his body could crush a person's mind. Wang Tai's mind tensed up. "Brother Fei?" He quickly rushed up, and the moment Wang Tai was about to support him, Long Fei said in a low voice, "Quickly put me back into the coffin." As soon as he finished, he fell down. As time passed, the Titan and his soul were no longer able to hold on. Moreover, the moment he released the thousands of people beheaded, all of the giant spirit god's energy was drained, and this made it even more unbearable. His soul was about to be peeled off. If he didn't hurry, he would never be able to return. System archive. The physical body was sealed. Everything will disappear. Wang Tai carried the giant spirit god's corpse and rushed out crazily rushing out. "Hurry up! Hurry up! Hurry up!" The voice of the Titan became weaker and weaker, unable to hold on. However, only Long Fei could hear his voice, but she could not. Soul transfer techniques were too dangerous. But at that time, if Long Fei did not transfer his soul, they would all die here. If you had to blame anything, you could only blame the sky god for being too sinister. He actually planted a mind-lostening poison in his own son's body. He's here. When the purple-clothed girl saw Wang Tai frantically attacking, she couldn't help but frown. Li Yuanba also realized that the situation was urgent and changed the topic. Li Yuanba moved and opened the lid. With a palm attack hitting the coffin, the giant spirit coffin flew out in a straight line and directly landed in front of Wang Tai. Wang Tai also instantly put the giant spirit god's corpse back into the coffin. Buzz! The lid of the coffin fell off and closed again. In that instant, a buzzing sound erupted from the coffin. The soul transfer technique activated once more. After a long time, the giant spirit god's idea sound transmission entered Li Yuanba's mind. "He is very weak. The mind-lostening poison is too ferocious. I have to find a place to rest and find the antidote." Li Yuanba's heart tensed up. He looked at the purple-clothed girl and said, "Boss needs the antidote. He needs a place to recuperate. Do you have a place to?" The purple-clothed girl did not think too much about it and said slightly, "Let's go to the Night King Valley." Chapter 2010, White Robe Oracle. Chapter 2010, White Robe Oracle. The world was too big. There was no place for it. The Night King Valley was the only path they could take. Long Fei had just arrived at the primordial divine war, so his city of martial arts Wang family no longer existed. As for Li Yuanba, it was the same. Amongst the four of them, only the violet-robed maiden had anywhere to go. However, although the purple-clothed girl said that she was going to the Night King Valley, she couldn't help but become worried. This time when she came out, she was met with opposition from many clan elders. The death of the Nether Slave, as well as the death of the Night King Valley's elites, it was unknown whether or not she could enter the valley. Right now, there was no other way. Long Fei needed a place to rest, and even more so, the antidote. One day later, inside Legend Palace, a man with white robes embroidered with white clouds was standing on a high seat. Sky God Envoy. All of the powerhouse kneeled on the ground, not even daring to breathe loudly. The death of the crown prince continued to ferment, and the sky god was furious. Main temple. There were quite a few ripples on the battleground. Many people knew of this person, or rather, there was a madman called Long Fei. My lord has said that we can't just let the crown prince die like this. No matter who he is, he must pay for the crown prince's death with his own life. The white-robed oracle spoke slowly. However, Master has been busy with cultivation recently and didn't have the time to come down, so he had to rely on you to kill Long Fei. This is also your chance to redeem yourself. Do not disappoint my lord. Otherwise, not only will you all suffer, I will suffer as well. Understood? The eyes of the white-robed figure trembled, a hint of cold disdain in his words. The elder of the Legend Palace immediately said, "Understood. Understood. We will definitely do our best to not let you down. We will not let you down. I don't want all of you to give it your all. I want all of you to take Long Fei down." The white-robed oracle's gaze sank. The Legend Palace elder immediately said, "Definitely, definitely, definitely." "Very good." The white-robed envoy smiled. "Do you have any plans?" The elder was silent for a moment, then said, "I have already issued the Legend Palace's pursuit order. The moment we discover them, it would be hard for them to escape death." Legend Palace chasing order? TCH. The white-robed receiver sneered, expressing his disdain. "That's it." The elder's gaze tightened, and his body trembled uncontrollably. In the primordial divine war, the Legend Palace possessed supreme power, but in front of the main temple, they were nothing more than ants, incomparably insignificant. Even an oracle would be able to easily crush them. At this time, another young elder said, "Master, there is only one place they can go, and that is the Night King Valley. As long as we block their way, they will definitely be cut off." The white-robed receiver said, "Continue." The young elder said, "According to what I know, Long Fei has already been infected by a mind-lostinic poison and is in a coma. If it's too long, he'll never wake up, so they need to find a place to rest and then search for the antidote. The antidote for this poison." The white-robed receiver spoke out. The mind-lostinic poison's antidote was personally concocted by the sky god himself. It's not said that no one can concoct the antidote, but I'm afraid it won't be that easy to find the person who concocted the antidote in the ancient god battlefield, right? The young elder said, "There aren't any poison masters in the Night King Valley. The poison masters in the ancient god battle are all part of the poison monster, and the powers in the Night King Valley might be able to find them." Although the Night King Valley had already declined, its internal structure did not dissipate. Its information-gathering organization was still the strongest in the ancient god battle. Even Legend Palace would not be able to compare to him. Finding someone was too easy for the Night King Valley. An elder said, "Poison Monster had disappeared for dozens of years already. Looking for him would be like looking for a needle in a haystack." The young elder said, "They still won't be able to see it." The white-robed receiver said, "If you have something to say, just say it." "Yes, sir." The young elder bowed and said, "Poison Monster is currently in Fairy Grass Valley. I discovered it unintentionally. I believe the people in Night King Valley know about it too, and they will definitely return." "All right." The white-robed receiver shouted, "Very good. There are millions of ways to the Night King Valley. Even if we can intercept them, it would be very difficult. Although the power of the Night King Valley is declining, we cannot underestimate them. However, there is only one way to the Fairy Grass Valley, and as long as we stop them, they will die without a doubt. The young elder excitedly said. Quite a few elders shot envious gazes at him. It was an honor to be recognized by the envoys of the Sky God. If it works, that elder could very likely be the future Hall Master of Legend Palace. The white-gowned oracle said, "All of Legend Palace's personnel follow your orders. If this matter is handled well, the Sky God will definitely reward you handsomely." The young elder immediately said, "This subordinate understands." God's Mountain, the residence of the god-child Zhan Wushuang. A faint smile hung on Zhan Wushuang's face, and he said, "Long Fei, you really did not disappoint me, breaking through Devil Island, killing Crown Prince. Ha ha ha. As fearless as ever. Amazing, amazing. But you have also exposed your current position. It won't be long before those women of yours will appear in front of you. At that time, to die in the hands of his own woman, this feeling, ha ha ha, ha ha ha." Zhan Wushuang laughed wildly. Just thinking about it made him excited. Of course, Zhan Wushuang understood Long Fei very well, and within a single day, Long Fei would undergo a crazy change. It was hard to kill him with his woman. However, whether it was Long Fei or Long Fei's woman, as long as they met each other, either Long Fei would die or Long Fei's woman would die. No matter who died, it would be something to be happy about for Zhan Wushuang. At this moment, a servant spoke out. "Elder, there is a man wearing a black robe who wishes to see you." Zhan Wushuang's face recovered and said, "Did he say who he is?" The servant replied, "No, he just said that he had helped you before, and he said that he is the only person in the world who knows how to cultivate soul controlling." In that instant, Zhan Wushuang's eyes shook and thought, "Destiny God, he really did not die." And then the corner of Zhan Wushuang's mouth revealed a cold and sinister smile and said, "Bring him in." Soul controlling, although he had fused with the fate energy of the Destiny God and obtained the elementary form of soul controlling, he had not made any progress in the cultivation of the soul controlling. He hadn't moved an inch in such a long time. Something must have gone wrong. If he wanted to be above anyone, then he had to grasp 3 types of law energies. He didn't expect. At this time, the Destiny God came. This was simply offering coal in the middle of a snowstorm. 3 laws. It was supreme. Chapter 2011. Endure. Chapter 2011. Endure the death of Crown Prince in the Primordial War. Main Temple, battleground caused a lot of commotion. It was the same in Night King Valley. 3 days later, the purple-clothed girl came to Night King Valley. However, the valley door was tightly shut. This had never happened before. Night King Valley was like a huge box. If the entrance to the valley was closed, no matter how hard you tried, you would not be able to enter. The door to the Night King Valley had never been closed. The purple-clothed girl stood outside the valley with a hidden lock between her eyebrows, loudly shouting, "Open the door!" There was no reaction at all. The purple-clothed girl shouted again, "Open the door!" It was the same. There was no response. Wang Tai looked at the pitch-black mountain in front of him and muttered, "Is this the entrance to the main entrance? Why doesn't it look like it? Could it be that I found the wrong place?" Li Yuanba said in a simple and rough manner as he walked forward and said, "Are you sure this is the main entrance? I can break it." The purple-clothed girl looked at the 2 of them as if she was staring at a monster. These past few days, Wang Tai and Li Yuanba had not consumed any healing pellets, but they had the injuries on their bodies healed as if they had seen a ghost. Especially Li Yuanba. The bones of his feet were broken into countless pieces, and his veins and tendons were all broken. It could be said that he was a cripple, but he was still alive and kicking the next day. There was no sign of injury at all. The whole thing was a freak, big freak. Adding on the huge coffin on his back, Li Yuanba's appearance was really scary. I am afraid. Li Yuanba foolishly took a fancy to the purple-clothed girl and waited for her answer. The purple-clothed girl gently shook her head and said, "No, this isn't an ordinary gate. You won't be able to break it." Then, the purple-clothed girl once again said, "Uncle Heaven's mandate, can you come out to meet me?" After a long time, a voice came from within the mountain. "Young Valley Master, Great Elder has ordered that you are not to enter the valley. From today onwards, you will no longer be a member of the Night King Valley, and your life or death has nothing to do with the Night King Valley. You should leave quickly." The purple-clothed girl frowned. The thing she was worried about had happened after all. "I want to meet with Great Elder, F***ck. Li Yuanbach rubbed his bald head and said angrily, "You're cutting off all ties just like that." From within the mountain came the voice of an azure dragon and said, "There's no need for that. From the moment you left the valley on your own accord, you have not been one of Night King Valley's people any longer." The purple-clothed girl raised her eyes and immediately took a step forward. "Uncle Tianming, I am saving my father. I cannot let Night King Valley fall." "Humph. If you don't let the Night King Valley fall, then what are you doing now?" "You pushed the Night King Valley down a cliff, and even said something about not letting the Night King Valley fall. It's because your Night King Valley had no choice but to close the gate that hasn't been closed for 1,000,000 years, and even said something about not letting the Night King Valley fall. Let's go. Don't appear here again." The old man said solemnly. Wang Tai yelled, "He's your uncle?" Li Yuanba said in a bad mood, "Is there such a thing as an uncle?" The purple-clothed girl held back her tears and escaped from the Night King's token, saying solemnly, "I order you to open the door." The inside of the mountain shook. King of Night, order. Seeing an order was like seeing a Night King. "Grand Elder, this..." The Night King token is the supreme sacred object in our Night King Valley, and it is even nobler than a blood sacrifice bracelet. We cannot let a single woman take all of it. The Legend Palace has already given the order to kill, and the envoys of the main temple have also intervened. They will definitely not be able to escape death. We can't get involved. We can't let them in. Why don't we do it?" Destiny's eyes widened. The elder immediately stopped talking. Night King Valley would never fight. Heaven's mandate's voice turned heavy as he said, "The King of Night order belongs to the Night King Valley. You." The purple-clothed girl unwillingly took the blood sacrifice bracelet off her hand and said directly, "We will return the King of Night order to you. Please let us into the valley. As long as he is well, we will leave immediately." Heaven's mandate said lightly, "The mind-lost in poison has no antidote. He won't be able to recover." The blood sacrifice bracelet, something left behind by the master. "First Elder, that kid is very heavily poisoned anyway. Even if we get the antidote, he might not necessarily live. At that time, he will die in our valley, and then we will hand him over. Isn't that a great contribution? But what if the powerhouse in Legend Palace arrive after they enter the valley? 3 days. I can only let you stay for 3 days. When the time comes, you will definitely leave the valley." No matter what, the purple-clothed girl was a member of the Night King Valley, and she was still young Valley Master. 3 days. This was also the limit of the Night King Valley. The purple-clothed girl said, "All right." At a time like this, they had to find the antidote immediately. Otherwise, Long Fei wouldn't be able to wait so long. Long Fei had saved her before. She would also save Long Fei. Moreover, Crown Prince, Legend Palace, and even Sky God might very well be the culprits behind his father's death. He had found his father's enemy. Long Fei's life was very important. Rumble, rumble. After a wave of 3 bodies moved, a road extended out from the mountain. It was as if he had made a supernatural feat of things. The purple-clothed girl said, "After entering the valley, listen to my orders and don't act recklessly. No matter what grievances I receive, I will endure it all. You understand? In order to save Long Fei, you must hold back." Li Yuanba and Wang Tai nodded. The 3 of them entered the valley. After entering the valley, both sides were filled with people pointing at the purple-clothed girl. "It's her. She wants to destroy the Night King Valley. Harmful. She is a scourge. How many people died because of her? Even Coach Nether Enlightenment died. Why aren't you dying?" Many people cursed in low voices, and they were extremely resentful towards the purple-clothed girl. Everything that had happened in the city of martial arts had long ago spread to this place. So many of the Night King Valley's elites had perished, and so many of the Nether slaves dead. They all blamed it on the purple-clothed girl. If it were not for her doubting her search for the 9 reborn spiritual flowers, the Night King Valley would not have fallen to such a state. Legend Palace's domineering suppression. Under the encirclement and annihilation of the various powers, the Night King Valley lost hundreds of elite assassins within a few days. The purple-clothed girl was like a sinner as she slowly walked inside. She owed it. At this moment, one of the people in the crowd threw out an egg. "How do you still have the face to live? Why don't you go and die?" "Pa!" The purple-clothed girl didn't dodge. The egg smashed into her head, and the egg flowed onto her face. The purple-clothed girl felt a faint pain in her heart. Li Yuanba was furious. The purple-clothed girl immediately sank. "Endure it. No matter what people say or do, you have to hold it in, okay? Endure it." Chapter 2012, Yuling Guardian Warrior. Chapter 2012, Yuling Guardian Warrior Endure was not an option. However, this was the only thing he could do right now. She was sorry. However, she owed no one. If they could not resist, they would still chase out the Night King Valley. At that time, they would really have nowhere else to go. Long Fei had to be saved first. As someone started to speak, the surrounding people became even more frenzied. Some rotten vegetables and other rotten things were thrown out, and some of the stones were even thrown out. The violet-robed maiden didn't defend at all, allowing those people to throw her as they pleased. Bleeding from the top of his head, Li Yuanba and Wang Tai were both extremely furious, anger erupting from their hearts. In the distance, one of the elders had a cold smile on his face as he looked at the purple-clothed girl slowly walking over. "Young Valley Master? Ha ha ha. Why do I look like a dog?" The sound wasn't loud, but everyone in the audience could hear it. Li Yuanba was suddenly enraged. Buzz. The innate divine power in his body shook. Li Yuanba's eyes were like a Vajra's eyes as he roared out, "Try saying another word." His voice was like thunder, a powerful burst. The entire valley shook. It instantly quieted down. The elder laughed coldly and said, "One more word? So what if I say 10 more words? She's like a dog. She's like a dog. She's like a dog. Cluck, cluck, cluck." Li Yuanba's fist exploded out. F***CK. He cursed angrily. He was about to charge out, but... However, the purple-clothed girl pulled him back and shouted in a low voice, "Do you still want your boss to go?" The anger in Li Yuanba's heart made him go berserk, his entire body turning red. He also had a bad temper. If he was unhappy, he would beat it. But now, when he thought of his boss, the rage on his body instantly died down. He stared fixedly at the elder. She's like a dog. The elder said this 10 times with a proud smile. Do you want me to say it another 10 times? Just say it 100 more times. Ha ha ha. She's not only a dog, she's also a bitch. The elder stared coldly at the purple-clothed girl's chest. Cluck, cluck, cluck. He couldn't help it. Li Yuanba's entire body was scarlet red, and smoke was coming out from the top of his head. The young elder said, "What's wrong? Unhappy? Angry? You want to hit me? Come hit me. As long as you dare to touch even a single hair on my head, my father will expel you all from the valley. You will never even step half a step into Night King Valley." The purple-clothed girl said, "Tian Yuan, do you have to do this?" Ha ha ha. Ziyu, this is exactly what I want. Seeing your appearance, I don't even know how happy I am. Ha ha ha. Tian Yuan laughed out loud. Tian Yuan. With a loud shout, a group of elders walked over. The leader was Heaven's Mandate. He was also the most senior elder in the Night King Valley. He used to be Ziyu's father's most trusted assistant, but now Ziyu bowed slightly and said, "Uncle Tianming." Heaven's Mandate glanced at Ziyu and said, "In 3 days, this is the limit of the Night King Valley." Ziyu replied, "I know." Tian Yuan said, "Hand over the King of Night Order." "Yes, hand it over first." "Hurry up." The elders pressed forward. Ziyu passed the blood sacrifice bracelet over and said, "I'll give the blood sacrifice bracelet to you guys first. I'll give the King of Night Order to you guys when we leave. Uncle Heaven's Mandate, can you lend me a flycatcher? What are you going to do with a piper when you are in the valley?" You didn't conceal anything. I want to make a trip to Fairy Grass Valley. The mind lost in a poison's antidote. The space between Destiny's eyebrows tightened. You understood a lot of things about the primordial divine war, especially some alchemy. She was especially clear about the residences of the experts in poison refinement. She had once visited the poison monster. It's just that at that time, poison monster did not see her. "It's for Long Fei," Tian Yuan said. "The flycatcher is a divine bird that travels 1,000,000 kilometers per day. Is that something that you can borrow if you want to?" Then Tian Yuan looked at Ziyu and said, "It's not impossible for you to want to borrow it. Take off your veil first." Ziyu had been wearing the veil on her face since she was young. Not many in the Night King Valley had seen his face, and Tian Yuan was the same. As far as Ziyu was concerned, she couldn't take off her veil. Her veil was taken off only for her husband. Everyone in the valley knew that. Tian Yuan also knew that letting her take off her veil was just making things difficult for her and playing with her. "I heard that your veil was left for your husband. Now take it off and let us see. Maybe there's a big scar under your veil. Is he ugly?" Ha ha. Tian Yuan laughed out loud. Ziyu smiled faintly and said, "All right." He extended his hand to remove the purple veil covering his face, revealing a peerlessly beautiful face. Many people in the surrounding area were stunned. Tian Yuan's eyes turned sinister, filled with hatred. He hated Ziyu. He hated Ziyu for rejecting him. Seeing this peerless face, Tian Yuan laughed. "Now that you have taken off your veil, does that mean that we can all become your husbands? A ladylike dove." Ha ha ha. "I don't mind." Li Yuanba's fist was about to be crushed. The purple-clothed girl also fiercely grabbed onto him. The purple-clothed girl laughed lightly. "You can only remove the veil for your husband. If you remove the veil today, Ziyu will never wear the veil and will never marry." Tian Yuan was stunned. Ziyu said slightly, "Can you lend me the flycatcher now?" Her heart was bleeding. It was as if faith had been ruthlessly trampled upon. She endured. He ruthlessly endured it. Everyone was slightly shocked. Tian Yuan was like a rooster who was defeated, very unhappy, very unhappy. No way. You want to borrow the flycatcher and take off your clothes? Tian Yuan shouted. Li Yuanba said angrily, You've gone too far. He couldn't hold it in anymore. Lousy is going too far. What can you do? Ziyu, take it off. Let us all look at your body. Since you're not going to marry anyone, let us take advantage of you. And let us take a look. Heaven's Mandate also shouted, Tian Yuan, shut up. And then Heaven's Mandate said, Okay, we can lend you the Flying Sparrow, but you cannot leave the Night King Valley. The purple-clothed girl said, Only I know Fairy Grass Valley. If I don't go, then I don't care. You can't leave anyway. Heaven forbid Ziyu from leaving. Of course, this was something he had to consider because he knew the Fairy Grass Valley was now an inescapable net. Whoever goes will die. Ziyu was his niece. If nothing had happened, it might have been his daughter-in-law. He felt sorry for this girl. She could not let him die just like that. She could only treat it as doing the last thing for her dead father. Li Yuanba said, I'll go. Draw me a map. I'll go. He then took off the coffin on his back. Long Fei could not take the impact. If anything happened, Long Fei would die without using the antidote. Z, you had no other choice. All right. Fairy Grass Valley. A childlike person was standing on top of the mountain. Sigh. How much longer do we have to wait? It's been so long, but the boss still hasn't appeared. I wonder how Simple Lee is doing. Boss, the Holy Spirit really misses you. Chapter 2013-3 Great Formations. Chapter 2013-3 Great Formations. Wang Tai, take good care of my sister-in-law. If anyone dares to touch him, kill him. Li Yuanba said heavily. They had all seen Ziyu's suffering. If it wasn't for their boss, he would have really made a move. He couldn't control his temper at all. Wang Tai said, Brotherly, don't worry. I will risk my life to protect eldest brother and eldest sister-in-law. Li Yuanba said, I will hurry back. Ziyu replied indifferently, Be careful along the way. You must be careful of Poison Monster. He has a strange temperament. Fairy Grass Valley's rule is that if you want medicine, you must do one thing for him. If you succeed, you will give it to him. He might have all sorts of difficult problems, so you should be careful. Li Yuanba said, Eldest sister-in-law, you can rest assured. I will definitely bring the antidote back. I'm leaving. Jumping onto the flycatcher, Idea moved to control the flycatcher. He spread his wings and instantly rushed into the clouds, disappearing without a trace. Let's go. Luby left. Just as Li Yuanba left, a disciple reported to him. Tian Yuan laughed coldly and said, He's gone. He'll definitely not be able to return. Right now, what's left is that monster with black bones on its body. Young master, he's just a monster, and isn't he easy to deal with? I just need to find an excuse to call him out and beat him up. I don't believe that he will still be alive after that. One of the lackeys said excitedly, This is the Night King Valley. Tian Yuan said, Don't be anxious. Take your time. Play slowly, hee. A trace of gloominess flashed through Tian Yuan's eyes, and Ziyu's peerlessly beautiful face appeared in his mind, as the corner of his mouth couldn't help but reveal a cold smile. Ziyu, you're mine. Ha ha. Have they left? Heaven's Mandate was also observing. One of the elders replied, Let's go, great clan elder. When we make our move, hand Long Fei over, and our Night King Valley will be able to protect him. Long Fei's life was very valuable. Not only did Legend Palace want his head, Main Temple also wanted his head. If he could hand Long Fei over, Night King Valley might even rise to prominence just like that. Heaven's Mandate furrowed his brows as he looked into the distance and fell into deep thought. He wasn't sure. Night King Valley's ancestor. The first Night King was once the god's #1 assassin and had the highest achievements in the battleground. However, he did not choose to enter the main temple and instead left. The most powerful assassination organization was established during the ancient war. He could become the most powerful powerhouse below the sovereign, but he didn't. Why is that? Because, back then, he had obtained a prophecy that the current sovereign would be overthrown and the new would live on for eternity. Only the people from the Night King Valley knew about this prophecy. Is it true or false? After countless years, no one could determine. Choose the present or choose the future. He let out a long breath and said, "Don't move recklessly. Let Tianyuan also calm down a little." "Yes, sir." The elder left the room. Heaven's Mandate muttered. Father gave me the name Heaven's Mandate, which means to resign himself to the heaven's will. This time, just follow the will of heaven. If I can find the antidote, I will fully support you. If he doesn't return within 3 days, then destiny did not continue. Brat, get down here. Fairy Grass Valley, on a cliff. The heaven spirit lowered its head to look at the unkempt, jet-black face of the elder in the valley. It smiled and said, "I don't think you'll be able to succeed. Poison monster, refining poison into a devil. At the same time, he was also the #1 poison refiner of the ancient god battle, and he studied poisons with every word. He was also an antidote master. This time. But now he had encountered a big problem: how to use poison against poison. The poison monster puffed his beard and glared at the sky spirit, saying, "How preposterous, my poison monster's #1 poison master. I don't believe you. As long as I succeed in forging the pill, I will use poison to attack the poison pill. As long as you succeed, I will pass on to you the secret recipe for the mortal pill." "All right, it's a deal." Then, Poison Monster turned and entered the cave. The celestial spirit turned to look at the mountain range and muttered, "How can I wait here? Boss, when will you be here?" In 8 King Kong, everyone's location was different. When the Holy Spirit came out of hell, it came to Fairy Grass Valley. He was neither a human nor a ghost. His physique that was neither a demon nor a demon immediately attracted the attention of the poison monster, and at the same time, the mortal pill on his back made him even more excited. In this period of time, he had been in secluded meditation on how to turn the poison into an antidote. The heavenly spirit was also living in the Fairy Grass Valley, waiting for Long Fei's appearance. Originally, everything was very calm, but in the past few days, a group of mysterious people had appeared outside the Fairy Grass Valley, and they had cultivated to a very strong level. Another set of techniques has been completed. Against whom? Poison Monster? It doesn't look like it. Furthermore, the poison monster never leaves the valley. This kind of formation cannot deal with him. The heavenly spirit's eyebrows were locked. These formations do not seem like they are meant to deal with demon beast. Against people? Against whom? The formations were very strong, and each of them had different strengths. The formations contained an extremely strong killing intent. Other than that, these people who had set up the formation were also experts amongst experts. When a heavenly spirit came to the ancient god battle, he had never seen so many experts appearing at once. The sun was setting. The celestial spirit breathed out a long sigh of relief as he watched the sun set. "You're not here again. How long are you going to wait? How boring. It seems like I'm going to slaughter everyone together with boss." "That's more like it." His figure moved. He was like a ghost, falling back into the valley in the blink of an eye. It disappeared in the blink of an eye. The current sky spirit was completely different from the previous one. The power of the Yuling guardian warrior exploded throughout the infernal realm. At night, it was his world. Lord, the little boy on top of the mountain has disappeared. When did such an expert come to Poison Monster's side? No matter what, our target is Long Fei. The young Valley Master of the Night, King Valley, did not come. The one who came was the great Vajra, Li Yuanba, who was standing beside Long Fei. Then let's kill him first. As long as he can't bring back the mind-lost Inig Poison's antidote, Long Fei will definitely die. Once we finish him off, we can go to the Night King Valley. Understood. 3 great formations. Entering meant death. The person who laid the array was the Grand Master of the Legend Palace, reputed to be the #1 array master of the ancient war god. God's array presbyter. Similarly, he was also the young elder of the Legend Palace. This time, he was going all out. If he succeeded, he would soar into the sky. Midnight. The sparrow spread its wings and approached. The sensing formation activated. God's array presbyter's eyes lit up. They're here. At the same time, inside Fairy Grass Valley, the heavenly spirit eyes opened. The King Kong Chi, Brother Yuanba, is here. Chapter 2014. Abnormal. Chapter 2014. Abnormal. After the journey to hell in the 8 King Kong, they were able to sense each other's strength and aura, as well as the connection that existed between them in the first place. The 8 ancient heaven pillar, power of 8 different attributes. Mysterious, yet powerful. When Li Yuanba got close to the Fairy Grass Valley, the heavenly spirit sensed a familiar aura that was 100 miles away. He immediately stood up and seemed to be overjoyed. Brother Yuanba is here. Ha ha ha. I'm finally here. Brother Yuanba will definitely find boss. Boss. Thinking of Long Fei, the heavenly spirit couldn't help but become excited. Thinking of the past, when he was so arrogant, acting as if he didn't want to accept it. And did it even if he didn't want to win, his blood started to boil. Boss, this time we're coming back from hell. We won't be like the last time. He had sufficient confidence in the power that he now controlled. Suddenly, the space between his eyebrows tightened. Brother Yuanba came to Fairy Grass Valley? He doesn't know where I am. Why is that? Could it be? The boss is in trouble. Papa. It's just my crow's beak, with his godly powers. How could anything happen to unrivaled super hottie? The sky spirit walked out in a hurry. He was very clear about what kind of place the Fairy Grass Valley was. Everyone who came to the Fairy Grass Valley came for the poison monster's poison or for the antidote. However, there were very few people who could obtain the antidote from the poison monster because they could not complete his mission at all. It was also at this moment the sky spirit frowned. The arrangement of the Fairy Grass Valley's 3 great formations, that is to say, no way. In that instant, the sky spirit shuddered, and at the same time, his killing intent began to soar. I don't care who you are, but if you were to make a move on my King Kong, I'll make sure you won't be able to do anything to ghosts. Whoosh! His figure disappeared. No matter whether or not the 3 formations were used against Li Yuanba, the sky spirit would never let Li Yuanba be injured, because they were brothers. Li Yuanba looked at the valley in the darkness far away, and the aura of his divine power was especially strong. He then looked at the stars in the sky and muttered, "It should be the Fairy Grass Valley up ahead. We've finally arrived. Boss, don't worry. No matter what price I have to pay, I will get the antidote back for you." Li Yuanba clenched his fists tightly. The idea moved to control the sparrow. Speed up. He did not sense the existence of the heavenly spirit. It was also because he did not have the mood to sense it. All he was thinking about right now was Long Fei. He would go back earlier and get the antidote earlier. He did not sense the 8 King Kong's special aura. In the darkness, a voice rang out. "He's here." The corners of God's Array Presbyter's lips curled up as he coldly laughed. "I'll let you experience the power of the number 1 formation master of the primordial war." As soon as he finished, the man's forehead twitched, and his aura shot out like a spirit serpent. Buzz. The power that erupted from the sky was like an invisible firework exploding. At the same time, the ground began to move crazily. The energy exploded within the area, forming a thick barrier. Buzz. A loud explosion resounded. The flycatcher below, Li Yuanba, suddenly dropped down. Buzz. Li Yuanba himself also felt as if his body weighed 1,000,000 kilograms. In an instant, he couldn't control his falling speed. Boom. Puchi. The flying bird landed on the ground, its entire body sticking to the ground. Its body immediately exploded, not from being smashed to death, but from being crushed to death by this extremely strong gravitational force. Li Yuanba was also unable to hold on. Every step he took felt like he was stepping on 10,000 kilograms. Gravity spell formation. This wasn't normal gravity. It was 100 times gravity that surpassed the ancient god battle plane. Any beast or bird that entered the gravity array wouldn't be able to move, and would be crushed to death if they did. The sparrow was also a high-level flying war pet, but it could not hold on for even a second and was crushed into a pool of blood. Although Li Yuanba was not injured, his internal organs were being squeezed, and it looked as if it could explode at any time. Ha ha ha! What fierce person with such explosive fighting strength! It's nothing much. Lord, in your formation, he is like a weak ant, unable to withstand a single blow. A few servants laughed and said. The God's Array Presbyter gave a faint smile and said, "The 100 times gravity formation is constantly pressing down, and the gravity is also constantly increasing. No one can withstand the pressure of the ancient god battle. The first formation master isn't just for show. As long as we capture him, we can charge towards the Night King Valley and take down Longfei's head. You have done a great service in front of the main temple, the Sky God." Thinking of this, God's Array Presbyter could not help but reveal a proud smile. All of this wasn't far from him. It was as if he could just rub his hands in front of him. The gravity was still superimposing. Suddenly, Li Yuanba did not continue walking forward, but suddenly sat cross-legged. This change made many people laugh. He can't hold on. He can't hold on. Ha ha ha. So what if he was big? Furthermore, I was unable to withstand it. I had thought that he would be extremely powerful, but it turns out that he is actually a piece of trash. Exactly. A trash like him dares to go against our legend palace. You're courting death. Everyone mocked. God's Array Presbyter sneered. No matter how Li Yuanba resisted, he could not withstand the increasing gravity. In the end, he would become a pool of blood. No one could withstand it, and no one could break the formation. However, he did not understand Li Yuanba. He didn't understand his strength, his cultivation, and the unique constitution he possessed. Who is he? Holy King Kong. In other words, he was a pure warrior who did not rely on any mana to release skills. He trained in strength. It was his physique. Also, his body was so strong that it could explode at any moment. As he sat cross-legged, Li Yuanba adjusted and regulated his breathing, at the same time allowing his own body to become accustomed to the gravity within the gravitational space. In just half a minute, Li Yuanba opened his eyes and suddenly stood up. A light flashed in his eyes. In that instant, he took a step forward, his body moving like lightning, a step forward. Fast. It was too fast. He couldn't see it clearly at all. God's array presbyter's expression darkened. His entire body shook his head and said, "Impossible, this is impossible. It's impossible to travel at such a fast speed in 100 times gravity formation." In the distance, a few of the elders from the Legend Palace also had cold looks in their eyes. They were well aware of the array power of the God's array presbyter to be able to adjust his body to such a state in half a minute. An old man said, "Either this person is crazy, or this person is a monster, a perverted monster." The formation didn't break, but it was as if Li Yuanba had walked on flat ground. It did not have any effect. His fleshly body, how strong was he? Let alone 100 times gravity space, even 10,000 times. So what? Chapter 2015, Scarlet Demon Flame, Beast. Chapter 2015, Scarlet Demon Flame, Beast. Everyone in Legend Palace was shocked. Everyone was at a loss. God's array presbyter is the array that the #1 formation master of the ancient god battlefield. Really that weak? Is there a problem with the formation? The first thing God's array presbyter thought of was that there was a problem with the array, because 100 times gravity, no one could possibly have such speed. What made him even more suspicious was that Li Yuanba was not only fast, but also faster than he used to be. One of the servants lowered his head and submissively replied, "Sir, there was no problem with the formation." God's array presbyter frowned and said solemnly, 100 times gravity isn't able to suppress you, right? Then let's do it with 1,000 times gravity. I don't believe that my array formation can't stop you. As long as you don't break the formation, you won't be able to escape from me. God's array presbyter's eyes shook. The spirit chi on his body fiercely exploded out. Buzz, buzz, buzz. One force after another surged into the gravity array. As he continued to raise the gravitational power within the formation with his divine power. Rumble! A loud sound echoed out. The God's array presbyter's power suddenly broke. The entire mountain shook. What happened? What's going on? Such a powerful explosion of energy. Could that big guy be dead? That must be it. God's array presbyter was also confused. What's going on? One of the servants ran back hurriedly and said, "My lord, my lord, my lord, gravity, gravity formation." "Pa, you won't say anything? Straighten your tongue before you speak." God's array presbyter slapped his face and shouted all sorts of words. The servant slapped his face and quickly said, "Sir, the gravity array has been broken by that large man's fist." This time, he didn't stutter, he thought. However, just as he finished speaking, God's array presbyter slapped him again, causing him to fall to the ground. Impossible if we want to break the array. We must find the formation aperture. He couldn't even find the formation aperture. How can we break the array? He didn't believe it. He was also quickly rushing over. The formation aperture was intact. But when God's array presbyter released the array, once again, a big hole appeared at the side of the array barrier. This was not done using the divine sword or blade, because the sword or blade would not be able to create such a hole. This power, God's array presbyter felt his scalp go numb. He had collected information about Li Yuanba before, so he didn't really believe that he could destroy his defenses against the boundary with a single punch. However, his array's defense is much stronger than the defensive boundary S of the underground boxing arena. But so what? It was still broken. Li Yuanba never thought that this place had already been set up like an inescapable trap. He thought that this was only the fairy grass valley's defensive array. Quickly rushing towards the valley, Li Yuanba muttered, breaking through his array, "You won't offend him, right?" However, this formation is too boring. One fist is enough to break it. The reason why he had such a pained expression at the start was because he had suddenly entered the gravitational space at 100 times gravity. His body was different from others and could adjust itself. Moreover, his physical body could still heal itself, and he had been heavily injured in the city of martial arts. His body had fully recovered in less than a day. Thus, he had told Long Fei before that he would not die. If God's Array presbyter were to hear his words, he would definitely vomit blood and die. The punch shattered. There was no effect at all from 100 times gravity. This was too much of a blow. The bitter cultivation in the infernal realm was much stronger than this kind of gravitational space. Just the gravity in the infernal realm itself was more than 100 times that. Although the array was broken, the God's Array presbyter was not discouraged because he believed that he could definitely take Li Yuanba's life. "Sir, enter the array again." As soon as he finished, God's Array presbyter's eyes flashed with a trace of dark light, the corners of his mouth curled up, and he became excited. "Berserk beast formation, I want to see how you'll break it this time." Roar. A furious roar. The entire mountain range shook. The sky shook, and the ground quaked. At the same time, Li Yuanba raised his eyes slightly and looked at the 100-meter-tall beast. Its entire body was scarlet red and entered an extremely berserk state. Its two lantern-like eyes were also fixated on Li Yuanba, who was on the ground. Holy sh**t. What a big beast. Boss would definitely like it when he sees it, but Li Yuanba didn't even know that he had once again entered into the array. Looking at the berserk red beast, Li Yuanba said, "You should get out of the way, otherwise I will beat you to death." If this guy is the warden of Fairy Grass Valley, wouldn't killing him be offending him? Aren't you unable to get the antidote? Li Yuanba was worried about this. However, before he could finish his sentence, the scarlet beast was enraged and heavily trampled down with its right foot. Boom! Li Yuanba's eyes moved, and in a flash, he flew to the other side, looking at his original position that had already become a few meters deep pit. "Hey, I warned you. Don't force me to make a move." Li Yuanba shouted, not waiting for him to finish. Another stomp. An old man walked in front of God's Array presbyter and asked, "Where did you get the scarlet demon flame beast from?" God's Array presbyter smiled and said, "A dark place." The old man shivered. God's Array presbyter said, "He's dead for sure." The old man nodded. It should be impossible to escape. The red devil flame beast was an extremely powerful beast, and he had a special ability. As he was speaking to them, Li Yuanba was also enraged. "Give me one, give me two, I will not give you three." Lousy has given you face, right? He took a step forward. He leaped into the air and punched towards the head of the red devil flame beast like a hammer. Boom! The scarlet demon flame beast's body fell to the ground with a loud bang and was killed instantly. Not even able to withstand a single blow, Li Yuanba muttered, "I told you not to provoke me. This is the result of disobeying orders." The corners of God's Array presbyter's mouth hooked up in a smile as the power within the formation moved. Boom! One scarlet demon flame beast became two, and the explosive strength from their bodies also increased. This was its perverse nature, body separation. And the more he killed, the more he killed, the more he killed. Seeing that the array formation had suddenly turned into two scarlet demon flame beasts, Li Yuanba turned around and looked at the two identical beasts. He can transform. Interesting. In that instant, Li Yuanba rushed forward. Boom, boom. Like lightning, two strikes were sent out. It was the same as before, instant kill. However, this time, 4 red demon flames appeared within the spell formation. Even the people from the Legend Palace were stunned. God's Array Presbyter laughed. What is a berserk beast formation? This is the berserk beast formation. Li Yuanba stroked his bald head, becoming even more excited. At this time, a voice resounded in his mind. King Kong, do you need my help? Chapter 2016. Long Fei's Only Chance. Chapter 2016. Long Fei's only chance. Suddenly, Li Yuanba was stunned. At this moment, the 4 scarlet demon flaming beasts attacked him from all sides, directly sending him flying. Boom! 100 meters away, a huge crater appeared on the surface of the mountain. God's Array Presbyter laughed. How is it? How did the scarlet demon flame beast taste like this? Let's see how many you can kill. No matter how many you kill, it will split into 2. This was the terror of the scarlet demon flame beast. No matter how you kill him, he can still split up. The more he killed, the more he killed. In the violent beast formation, you have nowhere to run. In the deep pit, Li Yuanba touched his big bald head. There were no injuries on his body, and his mouth revealed an excited smile. He laughed loudly. His laughter was incomparably satisfied. He was laughing incomparably happily, because he had sensed his brother. They felt the spirit of the 8 King Kongs, Yuling guardian warrior. He was indescribably happy. Li Yuanba stood in the deep pit and said, "No need." The heavenly spirit was also smiling. He was also smiling like a retard. After so long, they finally saw each other. Brother Ba, what's going on? Were the formations set up by these people specially meant for you? Where's the boss? Li Yuanba jumped out from the deep pit and said, "I'll tell you after I break the formation." Seeing Li Yuanba jump out from the deep pit, the God's Array Presbyter sneered. "You're not dead yet." The idea moved. The red devil flame beast inside the magic array crazily charged forward. Li Yuanba's hands sank as he shouted, "You know how to split weights, right? Then fight until you can't even distinguish your true body." Boom! With a push of his legs, a cloud of white smoke emerged from behind him, and he charged out. A small hole appeared on the ground. His speed was extremely fast, the limit of body technique. It was much faster than the scarlet demon flame beast. In a split second, it had already arrived in front of the beast. Bang, bang, bang. The crazy critical strike did not hit the vital parts, but instead chose to hit the joints. Bam! The thick joints of the beast's feet were fractured. Bam! His arm was broken. All the bones in his body had been broken, and he could not stand steadily. He was like a dead dog, lying on the ground, gasping for air. He could not move at all. Li Yuanba roared out, "Divide, divide again for this father." F*CK, his grandmother. The 4 scarlet demon flame beasts were lying on the ground and could not move. If they were not dead, they would not be separated, and if they were not dead, they would not become stronger. If Li Yuanba did not kill them, they would not die. God's Array Presbyter's forehead turned sinister as he clenched his fists, causing cracking sounds to ring out. The elder next to him said lightly, "It seems that your violent beast array can't go crazy. A scarlet flame demon beast has been turned into this by you." Sigh. God's Array Presbyter's face turned sinister. He bellowed, "Humph." The elder laughed. "Sky Array, your plan is to capture Long Fei alive. Now that Long Fei is not here, and you can't even catch his subordinates. If the white-gowned oracle knows about this, I'm afraid." God's Array Presbyter's gaze darkened and said, "Elder Lu, I'm not feeling well, but you shouldn't be any better, right? It's all for the main temple. It's all for the sky god. No matter who gets the head of Long Fei, they will be rewarded. And they might even get the qualification to be the main temple. Don't you want it? Main temple." He was in the divine class. He had become a deity of 100,000 planes. Only the gods of the main temple were the true gods of the 100,000 planes, although they had reached the deity stage, but they were not gods at all. They were merely the name of a realm. If one wanted to compete in universal large world, it was the same for gods. Lu Tianyu smiled faintly and said, I do, but I only have one qualification to enter the main temple. If you go, I won't be able to go, and if I go, you won't be able to go either. So, I think it's better if you fail first, then you lose the right to enter the main temple. Then, it's my turn to go on stage. Ha ha ha. Lu Tianyu laughed loudly, then turned and walked into the forest. Everyone had their own plans. Everyone wanted to enter the main temple's divine class and become the ruler of the 100,000 planes. However, if one wanted to obtain such qualifications, they would have to earn merits only in the battleground or obtain rewards through some kind of special mission. For example, Long Fei's head, the people main temple wanted, and the people's sky god wanted. If he could get Long Fei's head, then he could definitely get this special qualification. God's Array Presbyter was very clear about this in his heart, which was why he was able to talk about his plan directly to the white-robed oracle through the legend Palace Mistress. However, 2 consecutive array formations failed to stop Li Yuanba. This made him uncertain. Li Yuanba's strength had exceeded his expectations. This was far beyond his expectations. Rumble! 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 A loud noise came from the valley as the formation shattered. A servant quickly returned and said, Sir, the violent beast formation has been broken again. What should we do now? God's Array Presbyter's eyes turned sinister. He looked at the direction Lu Tianyu disappeared in and shouted, I have not failed. I have not lost. The qualifications is mine. No one can take it away from me. In that instant, God's Array Presbyter disappeared from the sky. The 3rd formation, no one can break it. Night King Valley, Ziyu's residence. Wang Tai stood guard in front of the sarcophagus, his eyes still. Ziyu also sat to the side, her eyes dazed. Her mind was blank. She was very afraid of this feeling. It was like his brain had stopped working. She didn't know if Li Yuanba could bring the antidote back, but there wasn't much time left for Long Fei. If he couldn't bring the antidote back in time, he would die. If that was the case, even if Li Yuanba found the poison monster, if he was unable to refine it, then there were the people from the Night King Valley. Her small courtyard was surrounded by people, and they would not be able to escape. If something happened, you became slightly worried. Inside the coffin, in Long Fei's sea of consciousness, his mind was completely locked, just like a vegetable, unable to move. But Long Fei did not give up. He had been working hard for a long time. Just a little bit more, just a little bit more, just a little more. Rumble! The dragon-shaped mark flashed with a silver light. It was also at this moment. Long Fei also instantly sensed the existence of the system. Like lightning, he quickly shouted in his heart, Activate Dragon Coffin, enter cultivation mode. Martial arts training. Fate was always in his hands. This was the only way to be at ease. Entering the foreign battlefield, there were steel armor beasts everywhere. The moment Long Fei entered the foreign battlefield, his sea of consciousness fiercely closed, and the system once again disappeared from his senses. It closed. Mind-lost and poison seemed to separate his consciousness from his body. It wasn't easy for him to seize the opportunity to enter here. And this was also the only place Long Fei could go. This is my only chance. Chapter 2017, Vajra Body. Chapter 2017, Vajra Body Buzz. Outside the fairy grass valley, a buzz sounded. Another formation was activated. On a hillside, Lu Tianyu smiled faintly and said, This is his last chance. The first 2 formations were easily broken. I don't think this third formation will last long. Brother Lu, it's time for us to make an appearance. A white-haired old man said while laughing. Lu Tianyu said, "No rush, let's slowly watch." The white-haired elder smiled and said casually, "Why don't you tell me the palace master and the few great elders are here? Don't tell me that they do not want to enter the main temple and become part of the divine class?" Hall Master did not give too many instructions on this matter. Even if the white-robed oracle appeared, he didn't say too much. It was very strange. If the Hall Master were to make a move, then what did they have to do? Lu Tianyu said, who wouldn't want to? But in front of main temple, Hall Master could only weakly kneel on the ground. Crown Prince's Death Hall Master himself already had a heavy responsibility to blame for it. He probably did not take action because he wanted to make the final move. After all, if we failed, then we would be able to display his might. But I will never fail. He had absolute confidence. At this time, a disciple quietly landed and said, "Master, our people have already entered the Fairy Grass Valley, and there is also news from there. As long as you give the order, we will immediately behead Long Fei." "All right." Lu Tianyu laughed and said, "Tell the people from the Night King Valley that they need to capture him alive. So I want him alive. Even if he dies, I need a complete corpse." "Yes, sir." This subordinate will immediately do it. The disciple quickly left. The white-haired old man at the side was slightly startled. "I only know that you sent people to Fairy Grass Valley, but I didn't know that you had people there." Lu Tianyu laughed and said, "Grab with both hands. Both of your hands must be tough. Even if you fail here, Long Fei's life is still in my hands." The white-haired old man asked in confusion, "The people of Night King Valley are Queen Night. They hate us extremely. Why would there be people?" Lu Tianyu laughed, faintly. "A wise man knows when to stop. This world is the world of the powerhouse. Night King Valley? Right now, you can't even compare to a second-rate family who would still work for him. Moreover, Night King has fallen, so the current Night King Valley is just like a pile of loose sand. Who doesn't want to plan for the future?" This was the status quo. When the Night King perished, the Night King Valley lost their leader. Furthermore, the power of the Night King Valley was gradually waning. The Night King clan could no longer hold on. Boom. Another loud sound rang out. Lu Tianyu laughed. "The third array formation has begun. Let's watch from the sidelines." 1,000 illusionary killing array. You think this formation cannot be broken through, and I will absolutely not allow you to break through it. The voice of the God's Array presbyter resounded in the sky. The entire formation was just like a different world. It was ethereal, and at the same time, it was filled with killing intent. In a short moment, several wounds had appeared on Li Yuanba's body. Every shadow was an illusion. Li Yuanba continued to attack, but his fists were only hitting the illusions. After a few consecutive attempts, more than a few wounds appeared on Li Yuanba's body. Moreover, he was simply unable to determine the direction within the array. If he didn't break the array, he wouldn't be able to leave. "Brother Ba, do you want me to make a move?" The sky spirit seemed eager and impatient. Li Yuanba did not say anything, but suddenly sat cross-legged. "Wang!" A thick stream of pure energy shot out from his body and wrapped around him. The sky spirit grinned and said, "There's no hope." I wanted to tickle my hands, but it seems like there's no hope. The heavenly spirit grumbled with its little mouth, then turned and disappeared. I want to see who has the guts to come here and behave so atrociously. He felt that there were a lot of people sneaking into the Fairy Grass Valley. Humph! Is sitting cross-legged useful? God's Array presbyter shouted, and the idea began to move. The power of thousands of shadows surged. as a series of large blade-wielding shadow assassins appeared in the air, fiercely slashing towards the top of Li Yuanba's head. In that instant, he felt as if Li Yuanba was surrounded by thousands of people, boundless killing intent. Furthermore, there was not the slightest trace of life. This was not something that could be killed by relying on one's strength, because these phantoms were all intangible. No matter how you kill it, it's useless. Die. You won't be able to break through the 1,000 illusionary array. The God's Array presbyter revealed a complacent smile. He was in the eye of the formation, with his idea as the shadow. Every single idea was filled with killing intent. 1,000 idea, 1,000 killing intents. Li Yuanba was unable to break through the formation. On the hillside, looks like the heavenly array is about to succeed. The white-haired old man said. Lu Tianyu also laughed faintly. So what? Even if this Luby dies, the heaven formation is only helping me, because the person main temple wants is Long Fei, not this Luby. He did not care whose hands Li Yuanba died in. It doesn't matter if he doesn't die. It was even better if he died. He didn't care at all, since the reason he was here was to wait for Long Fei. Then he didn't care at all. Thousands of shadows fell down. Under these circumstances, even Powerhouse at the peak of Middle God would die. Could Li Yuanba not block it? The invisible force was crushed. Also at that moment, Li Yuanba's eyes opened wide in anger. The figure of a raging Buddha of Vajra suddenly superimposed over his body. King Kong, diamond physique. Just like the angry Buddha from ancient times, his pupils had turned golden. At this moment, he moved through the void and arrived before the formation within 1/10 of a second. 1,000 shadows killing intent all failed. God's Array presbyter trembled, looking at Li Yuanba, who was covered in golden light in front of him. His heart felt cold. You, not waiting for him to finish. Li Yuanba punched out. Boom. The formation aperture shattered. God's Array presbyter's punch was instantly killed. He had no ability to resist, nor did he have the power to resist. A human died, and the formation was broken, and in that instant, Li Yuanba's body recovered. However, his body became extremely weak, and all the profound qi in his body seemed to have been sucked out. Hoo. Li Yuanba gasped for breath. His heart was also chilled. The diamond body is really unbearable. That power. It was as if his own profound qi had been mutated in the blink of an eye, just like his genes were mutated. His entire person had changed. However, according to the King of Hell, this King of Hell's physique was the source of power for their 8 King Kong. Amongst the 8 King Kong, only Li Yuanba was able to bear it slightly, since the others were simply unable to. If it were not for the fact that he could not think of a way, Li Yuanba would not have used it. Broken array? What kind of power was that? Lu Tianyu was shocked. At this moment, a disciple ran over anxiously. Master, all the people that entered the fairy grass valley have disappeared. Lu Tianyu's brows tightened, and without the slightest hesitation, he said, Go, immediately go to Night King Valley. Chapter 2018. 9 Hells. Chapter 2018. 9 Hells what? The boss was poisoned. Who wants to die so much? The sky spirit was instantly enraged. Inside Fairy Grass Valley, the poison monster circled around Li Yuanba's body again, and again, his face full of excitement, as if he was looking at a treasure. From time to time, he would pinch it. Following that was another burst of excitement. Good figure, inborn divine strength. It's immune to poisons. If I can become my experimental subject, it's really... Before he could finish his words, the Holy Spirit stared at him. Say that again. The sky spirit was angry. The poison monster wanted to use Li Yuanba as a test subject. Wasn't this like smashing into a wall of spears? Poison monster immediately smiled apologetically. I'm finished. I'm finished. Don't be serious. Don't be too serious. He did not dare to offend the sky spirit, because initially bringing the heavenly spirit back to the fairy grass valley was the most wrong decision for him in his entire life, because the heavenly spirit was about to go crazy. Not human, not demon, not ghost. It was a death sentence. No matter what kind of poison he concocted, it wouldn't harm even the slightest bit of his Shunshi. He was simply a freak. Now, an abnormal feeling appeared in front of him. He had the same feeling when it came to Li Yuanba, especially when he released that move from the 10,000 illusionary killing array. He looked at everyone. Li Yuanba looked at Poison Monster and asked, "Who is he?" Tian Ling said, "Poison Monster. Although I said I'm a poison refiner, it's useless. If it wasn't for the fact that I want to stay and wait for my boss, I wouldn't even bother to stay here." Li Yuanba looked at Poison Monster and immediately asked, "Can you refine the antidote for the mind-lostenic poison?" Mind-lostenic poison? The poison made by the sky god. Poison Monster frowned. The sky spirit was stunned. "Big bro ba, boss was hit by the heart-devouring poison?" Li Yuanba nodded his head. "Yes, we have already dragged it out for 4 days. I am worried that boss won't be able to hold on much longer and must obtain the antidote as soon as possible." Then, the heavenly spirit grabbed Poison Monster's clothes and shouted, "Can you refine it?" He understood now. No wonder when they sneaked into the fairy grass valley. Their goal was to kill the Poison Monster and prevent Li Yuanba from getting the antidote. Poison Monster was lifted up into the air like a little chick by the small heavenly spirit. If it had been someone else, that person would have died long ago. But in front of the Holy Spirit, the Poison Monster did not have the slightest temper. His face was filled with fear as he said lightly, "It's a little difficult." "Don't tell me it's difficult. Since I've found you, you must have a method. I do not care what method you use. You must refine the antidote for me." The spirits don't care so much. The life of the boss was more important than anyone else's. Li Yuanba said, "If you have any difficulties, feel free to speak." Li Yuanba was the same. If he could not get the antidote, Long Fei was really... The Poison Monster frowned. The mind-lostenic poison can be said to be the #1 poison in the ancient divine war. He was specially created by the sky god, and every time is different. If you want to refine the antidote, you need to find the formula for the poison in order to break it, but don't talk nonsense with lousy. Just tell me if you can refine it. The sky spirit shouted. Li Yuanba's heart tightened. Poison Monster clenched his teeth and said, "I can only say that I will try my best." "I can't do that. I have to make it." His tone was like he was on fire. Li Yuanba asked, "How long will it take to refine the antidote?" Poison Monster said, "It will take at least 3 days." "No way. There's no time." Li Yuanba asked, "Is there any other way?" Long Fei wouldn't last 3 days. In 3 days of time, Long Fei's mind consciousness had already died. Moreover, under these circumstances, Long Fei was simply unable to enter hell. Even if his father was the king of hell, he wouldn't be able to help. The Poison Monster said, 3 days is already the limit. If you want to be faster, then you only have one way, to ask the sky god for the antidote. He made the poison. He definitely has the antidote. The heavenly spirit immediately asked, "Where is sky god?" Poison Monster was stunned. He had only said that casually. What kind of existence was the sky god? Becoming a god, a true god. He killed his son, yet he still asked for the antidote. Wasn't he courting death? Poison Monster said, "Main temple, or perhaps battleground, is in these two places. Without saying a word, the Sky Spirit said, "Big Brother Ba, I'll go look for Sky God to get the antidote. You go to Ba's side." With that, he turned to leave. However, Li Yuanba pulled him back and said, "Do you know where the main temple is? Do you know how the battleground is going to get in?" The Sky Spirit was stunned. He didn't know. He was too anxious to think about it. In 3 days, the boss was dead. Spirit lowered his head. "Then what do? We have to do something, don't we?" Following which, the heavenly spirit looked at Poison Monster. Poison Monster's body trembled slightly as he continuously retreated, saying, I really have no way, unless. A bright light flashed. Poison Monster thought of something and immediately said, "Unless you can find the spiritual immortal grass. It can cure all poisons. It's also the #1 divine herb of the ancient god battle." Li Yuanba immediately took a step forward. "Where is the spiritual immortal grass?" Poison Monster hesitated. The Sky Spirit formed claws with his hands and tore through the air. The tip of his long nails was covered in the highest mysteries of the ghost vein art, as well as the power of death and decay. Poison Monster had seen this terrifying power before, so she immediately said, "It's in the Fairy Grass Valley, in the hell of Fairy Grass Valley's 9th level," but not waiting for him to finish. With a flash of his spirit, he disappeared into the cave. Li Yuanba tightened his grip on her. Poison Monster was stunned on the spot and said loudly, "I'm not finished yet. There's a kind of terrifying hell beast inside. It's useless even if you guys go." "Sigh, even if I said it, I wouldn't listen. You guys will be able to escape soon." Poison Monster muttered, "The spiritual treasures of heaven and earth usually have guard divine beastess. The better the item, the stronger the guardian beast. The 9 levels of hell beneath the Fairy Grass Valley is just a way of putting it, but it was like hell inside, each level more dangerous than the last." However, in order to save Long Fei, Li Yuanba and the heavenly spirit realm would not care so much. There was no one more important than Long Fei's life, not even their own. In another place, Dragon Coffin Cultivation World, Alien Battlefield. The Yama edge in Long Fei's hands slaughtered wildly. Standing on the peak, he panted as if his body was about to fall apart. 1,732 heads. 8,268 more left. 100 million experience points. Kill all these 10,000 steel armor beasts. My level will skyrocket. Upgrade. No matter how powerful the poison is, it's useless against me. It was as if he had been revived. Any binding will end. However, Long Fei was in the Dragon Coffin's cultivation world, so this was his only chance. If he failed, he would not have the slightest bit of power to activate the system, and would not be able to enter the cultivation world. His only chance. My life is not up to me. Long Fei roared out, "Come then!" "Young Master, the people from the Legend Palace are almost here. Should we make a move in advance?" Chapter 2019, Tomb of Night King, God of Slaughter by Qi. Chapter 2019, Tomb of Night King, God of Slaughter by Qi. The people of Legend Palace were rushing towards there. If he could take Long Fei down before them, it would be a great merit. To be able to get the help of the Legend Palace, Tian Yuan slightly narrowed his eyes. "My Tian family has worked as a horse for the Yi Wang family for dozens of years, and after all, we will only be a great elder. When will we become the true master of the Night King Valley?" Today. As long as I capture Long Fei, with the help of the Legend Palace's forces, I can become the new Night King of the Night King Valley. To control 3,000 assassins and then enter the battleground, to seize the highest achievement and become #1 under the sovereign realm. Revive the glory of Night King Valley. That's not right. It should be the glory of my clan, Tian Yuan said excitedly as the image of Ziyu's peerlessly beautiful face appeared in his mind. He still wasn't dead from Ziyu's heart, and he loved Ziyu, so he similarly hated her. Love to the bone, hate to the bone. If he couldn't get her, he would destroy her. If he got her, he would destroy her. Young master, then we— The corner of Tian Yuan's mouth curled up as he said in a deep voice, "Have our people wait. They will attack as soon as the sky turns dark. Remember, you must be quick. You absolutely cannot give others a chance to react." He knew very well. His father would never make a move against Ziyu, because she was the young valley master of the Night King Valley, and also the last person of the Night King clan. If he didn't take down Ziyu at lightning speed, then his father would very likely interfere. At that time, it would be even more impossible to complete his grand plan. As for Li Yuanba taking back the antidote, Tian Yuan did not care about it, because even if he could get the antidote back, he would not be able to come back. "Understood. I'll arrange it right away." Tian Yuan looked into the distance and said indifferently, "Ziyu, you are mine. You will always be mine to die. Even if it means death, you will still be mine, Tian Yuan." Night King Valley Meeting Room. "Grand Elder, it's the second day. Just now, I had someone sense that the sparrow riding the Luby was already dead. From the looks of it, he won't be able to come back either." Many elders looked at destiny. This was an extraordinary time, and it was time to make a choice. No one wanted to die, but if they continued to protect them, the people of Night King Valley would die. Heaven's mandate was very clear on what they wanted to say. He said slightly, "An agreement is an agreement. No matter what happens within the next 3 days, we will take good care of them." "Great Elder, what are we plotting?" "The Night King's clan has already fallen. Is there a need to take the lives of all of us to protect them?" "Exactly. I received the news. A large group of experts from Legend Palace are rushing towards the direction of the Night King Valley. There's no doubt that they are here for Long Fei. We can't resist at all." "Great Elder, what era is it now?" "The current Night King Valley is already dead in name. We should think for ourselves." Many elders began to persuade him. The Night King Valley was simply unable to contend against the Legend Palace. Furthermore, the Legend Palace was still the main temple behind the scenes, so how could he be an opponent for the both of them? Not at all. If he let Ziyu and Long Fei stay in the valley, the Night King Valley's blood would flow like a river. Heaven's mandate trembled between his brows and said with a deep voice, "We are all members of the Night King clan. If we are here, the Night King clan will still be here. No matter what happens, no one is allowed to touch Ziyu within 3 days." This was a promise between him and Ziyu. It was also a promise between him and himself. To be able to save Long Fei within 3 days was the choice of the heavens. He would stand by Ziyu's side without hesitation. If Long Fei did not wake up within 3 days, then, even if he wanted to support Ziyu, the rest of the Night King Valley would probably make a move as well. With a loud shout from Heaven's mandate, all of the elders shivered, showing fear. Heaven's mandate was the most important powerhouse out of all of Night King Valley. He was too angry to say anything more. Huff. Cold sweat broke out on Ziyu's forehead. She had heard everything that had just happened in the meeting room. Other than the nether slave and her dead father, no one else knew about the heaven listening technique. Wang Tai saw her expression change slightly and came forward and asked, "What happened?" Ziyu calmly replied, "It's nothing much. I'm just worried. The people of Night King Valley will make their move against us." Even though he was destined to crush everything. However, she was very clear about the people from the Night King Valley, Heaven's mandate alone was not enough. Wang Tai's brows tightened and said, "Is this place safe?" Ziyu turned around and looked at the giant spirit coffin, saying, "We have to think of a way to move. We have to wait for the big guy to come back." Wang Tai asked, "How do I move?" "The courtyard is surrounded by people. It's fine for the two of us to move, but there's still the boss. This is going to be difficult. Carrying a huge coffin that weighed over 10,000 jin? Others weren't blind. Furthermore, they weren't Li Yuanba. Li Yuanba had an inborn divine strength to carry 10,000 kilograms worth of pipes, as if he was a normal person. Ziyu said, "Carry the coffin, and let's go inside." "Huh," Wang Tai trembled slightly. Ziyu said, "My room has a secret passage. This passage leads directly to my father's coffin hall. No one knew this secret except her. Only she knew where her father was buried. That place was also the forbidden area of the Night King Valley. Right now, Ziyu couldn't care so much. She already had no other choice. Long Fei had to live. And only if he lived would he have the chance to refine the 9 steps yang reversion pill and be able to revive her father. As long as his father revived, everyone in Night King Valley would be suppressed. Everything depended on Long Fei being alive. There was hope for Long Fei. Wang Tai carried the huge stone coffin into the room. The aura coming from Ziyu's body formed a force. With a slight movement, a mural began to slowly release its power like flowing water. The mural moved and slowly twisted, as if a teleportation gate had appeared. Ziyu said, "Go in." The two of them carried the coffin into the mural. The mural returned to normal. Wang Tai felt his vision go black, and he instantly appeared on top of a straight path. The torches on both sides of the path automatically ignited, going all the way to the deepest part. In the deepest part of the mountain was a mountain that floated in the air. There were all sorts of white coffins on the hillside that were densely packed. The one on the top was the largest and had strange engravings on it. Its entire body was glowing with a fluorescent light. The entire hillside was painted white. This is the tomb of Night King. The one at the top is the first Night King. The rest are all previous Night Kings. The one at the bottom is my father's coffin. Ziyu's eyes narrowed as she looked at the white coffin. Wang Tai was shocked. At the same time, the spirit god among the giant spirit coffin opened his eyes slightly. "It's a land of wind and water. There's actually such a place." Long Fei, who was inside the training space. His entire body was covered in blood, but at this moment, a white figure suddenly appeared in his world. God of Slaughter, Bai Qi. Chapter 2020, Female Emperor Jojo. Chapter 2020, Female Emperor Jojo, Buzz. A buzz sounded in the sky above Main Temple. The sky shook. It felt like a crack had appeared. Immediately, all the gods of the entire Main Temple flew out, and every single one of them had incomparably shocked expressions as they looked towards the sky, where a rumbling sound could be heard. What happened? Did the battleground lose? Why would the void above Main Temple emit a sound? The abnormal sound was still above the Main Temple, which meant that something extremely unsettled had happened. Or the battleground would lose. Or it was the crack that appeared in the power of law that they controlled. No matter which one it was, they would all feel a great unease. A crack in the laws. In other words, a single law could collapse at any moment. This was because there was someone that surpassed the power of the law that they controlled. And then again, there was another possibility in this type of law rift, and that was that it was a bad omen. Very quickly, someone said, "Battleground is peaceful, and there were no losses. Evil God Army is completely hidden away. Then there's only one possibility. Law rift." One of the deities frowned and asked, "Who is it whose law energy is fluctuating. All the gods shook their heads, sensing the power of the law they were controlling. They all shook their heads. No, none at all. Our power doesn't fluctuate at all. An ominous sign? What could it be? Everyone was puzzled, although they were gods who controlled over 100,000 planes. A law rift like this had never happened before. They had been in control of 100,000 planes for countless years. How could there be a bad omen? Buzz. Another loud sound rang out. An enormous illusory figure appeared in the air. Upon seeing that, all the gods immediately kneeled down. Lord God, shadow of main god. The sovereign said slightly, the source of the commotion is the Night King Valley. Send someone to immediately investigate what is happening in the Night King Valley. Sovereigns were 100,000 chief sovereigns. However, there were some things that he couldn't see, so he could only determine the location. What did such an ominous sign mean? He didn't know. And then Sky God walked forward and said, Lord God, I am willing to go. The sovereign said, All right, we must investigate this clearly. No matter what, give it to me. He hesitated. Night King Valley. He was once the first Night King, and also his brother, his best brother. He clearly could have chosen to enter the main temple to obtain the highest honor. But, however, he chose to stay in the Ancient Gods' War and slowly died in the Ancient Gods' War. Why? He had never been able to answer this question. He could have been more than 10,000 people, but now he was just an ordinary person. There must be a problem. But he was still his brother. So many years had passed. The shadow of main god continued. No matter what happens, get rid of it immediately, uproot it, and pull it up by the roots. He would not allow any power to affect his territory. He was the controller of the 100,000 planes of existence. He used to be, is, and will be. No one, not even his former best brother, was allowed to. The gods were slightly startled. It had to be known that in their hearts, Night King Valley was a place that could not be invaded because of the relationship between sovereigns. But now, a sovereign actually gave the order to purge the area. Sky God said excitedly, This subordinate understands. And then the shadow of main god disappeared. All gods stood up, and one of the gods laughed in disdain. Mortals are still mortals after all. Back then, choosing to become mortal was already destined to be vastly different from us. Night King, ha ha ha. I'm afraid the corpses have already turned into a pile of dirt. Ha ha ha. The former Night King has limitless glory. What about now? Although we were on the same side back then, Night King has never put us in his eyes. Sky God, this time you are representing the main temple. You must take revenge for the anger you suffered before. Pull the Night King Valley out of its roots, and the Night King will disappear forever. Ha ha ha. Ha ha. The gods laughed proudly. They are gods. They were supreme deities of the 100,000 planes. Mortal, it was just an ant. Even back then, the overgod of killers was nothing more than an ant in their eyes. In another place, God's Mountain, Zhan Wushuang opened his eyes, and a smile appeared on his face as he said, Not bad. I have already comprehended the cultivation process of the soul controlling. The destiny god under the black robe faintly smiled and said, The soul controlling is the supreme law of the 100,000 realms. If you can cultivate it to its peak and combine the power of the other laws with you, you will become the most powerhouse of the 100,000 realms. Even sovereigns aren't a match for you. Zhan Wushuang's eyes flashed with a trace of light. Ha 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 ha. He laughed loudly. Zhan Wushuang looked at Destiny God. Currently, he only had one soul left in Destiny God, and it was also the soul of the god's holy sword that was hidden. It was extremely pitiful. Zhan Wushuang laughed and said, "Why are you helping me?" Destiny God said, "Very simple. I want Long Fei dead." Zhan Wushuang laughed and said, "He will die very soon." At this moment, a voice came from outside the secret room. "Lord," a strange noise came from above main temple. The sovereign sent Sky God to Night King Valley, probably to eliminate the power of Night King Valley. Huh. Zhan Wushuang's brows shook. We are finally going to make a move on the Night King Valley. Seems like the sovereigns are also like us, cold-blooded and emotionless. Ha ha ha. Destiny God looked at him and asked, "What do you think?" The corner of Zhan Wushuang's mouth lifted slightly and said, "Long Fei has been afflicted with a strange poison, but I still think Long Fei will win. But this is a great thing for me. You just said that you need a strong soul to cultivate the soul controlling. How is Sky God's soul? How is the Sky Principle?" Ha ha. Zhan Wushuang laughed sinisterly. Destiny God shivered and asked, "What about Long Fei?" Zhan Wushuang laughed. "My people should be arriving soon. Even if Long Fei doesn't die, he will still be in pain for half a life, killing his own woman with his own hands. This kind of pain should be very satisfying, right?" Destiny God shivered again as he realized that his understanding of Zhan Wushuang was just too little. He was an extremely ambitious person, and similarly, he was also a person with exceptional talent. Such a person was like a demon. However, he liked it. As long as he could deal with Long Fei, he was willing to pay a price. Moreover, the reason he found Zhan Wushuang wasn't just for Long Fei. On the other side of Night King Valley, the silhouette of a woman descended. Her eyes were cold and filled with hatred. Phoenix Emperor Jojo. Chapter 2021, Killing Principle. Chapter 2021, Killing Principle Dragon Coffin Cultivation World. White clothes, white shadow. Very strange. It was extremely strange. One must know that this was the world of Dragon Coffin, the world of main artifact. However, just when Long Fei wanted to ask the huge dragon what was going on, the huge dragon suddenly disappeared. The mystery was gone. Long Fei became even more suspicious. What the hell? Not only that, when the giant dragon disappeared, the steel armor beast at the bottom of the mountain all stood still as if they had learned their spell. Time is still? Impossible. Although Long Fei had not grasped the laws of time, he had still cultivated in the power of time reset. It was not that time had stopped, but he had been restricted by some kind of powerful force. White shadow! Long Fei raised his eyes. "Who are you?" The white silhouette smiled and said, "We have finally met." Long Fei said, "What's finally? Are you waiting for me, or have we met before?" The white shadow said, "None." Long Fei said, "Then what are you waiting for me for? I don't owe you money, do I?" The white shadow laughed. "I naturally have something important to do with waiting for you. As for whether or not you owe me money," without waiting for the white silhouette to finish speaking, Long Fei immediately said, "If you want money, you don't have one." He really didn't have any money. Bai Ying said, "I owe you." Huh. Ha ha. Long Fei immediately laughed. "You owe me money that you haven't even met? Are you stupid? Or do you think I'm stupid? If you have anything to say, just say it. I'm busy." Long Fei used the advantage of his location to kill more than 3,700 steel armor beast. If this was converted into experience, it would be 370 billion. He was still short of 6,000 or so. Even if he cleared the dungeon, he would still be able to obtain the system reward. Furthermore, the most critical thing was that he had 1,000,000,000,000 experience to level up and fly. This way, his body would be able to completely break away from the mind lost in poison. White Shadow said, I owe your mother my life. As soon as he finished, Long Fei was startled. Who are you? Why do you owe my mother her life? You don't belong to the same world, do you? Long Fei did not recognize the White Shadow. Furthermore, from his appearance, it seemed that he was a person from an older era. How could such a person be related to his mother? Could it be another plane? How strong was Long Fei's mother? Long Fei was completely unaware of it. His knowledge of his mother was probably limited to the laws of time. Then, mother must be a great beauty. He was also someone from the ancient Mu clan. That's it. What era was Bai Qi from? Hundreds of thousands, millions of people, tens of millions of young powerhouse S, and the brothers of the 100,000 plane controller sovereigns. These 100,000 planes were fought over by him. How could such a person owe Mu Wanner's life? Bai Qi did not believe it in the past, but he owed Mu Wanner his life. It could even be said that his life was given to him by Mu Wanner, and everything that happened to him was given to him by Mu Wanner. Bai Qi did not say anything further. Your mother told me to wait here for you. I have waited for you now. F***CK. Who the hell are you? You said you owe my mother's life, so you owe it? Long Fei was puzzled, and he was even more confused towards his mother. Just how strong was she? Bai Qi said, My name is Bai Qi, the first Night King. F***CK, F***CK, F***CK. Long Fei glared at him. First-generation Night King? His heart was in turmoil, as though it was overturning the heavens and overturning the seas. He knew very well what the first Night King meant. It meant that powerhouses who were shoulder to shoulder with sovereigns were once men who had stood at the peak of 100,000 planes. King of assassins. He was known as the god of death. Although he was not in the divine class, he still controlled the killing principle of 100,000 planes. He was the only fierce person who could control the laws, even though he hadn't entered the main temple, because this was his own unique law. What a fierce person. That's not right. If you were the first Night King, then you would have been someone from millions or tens of millions of years ago. How would you know my mother? And how would you owe my mother's life? It didn't make sense at all. Bai Qi spoke up. Regarding this, I can't understand either. It should be a powerful time shuttling cultivation technique. Your mother is very strong. In the 100,000 planes, no one is a match for her. If it wasn't for her, the 100,000 planes might still be in a different shape. Other than him, Long Fei did not hear clearly, but he did. S. heart was violently shocked by these few words. This is impossible. No matter how strong the time laws are, it's impossible for them to travel back to the past. If you can travel back to the past, isn't that just a simple reversal of the future? Is there a need to hide? Long Fei was very clear about the huge crisis that the Dragon Manor and the Mu clan were facing in Universal Large World. If there really was a time to travel, who would they need to be afraid of? Bai Qi said, He told me to wait for you at the Tomb of Night King. I did not expect that you would really come here. Now that Long Fei had recovered his body, he more and more did not understand his mother. She was like a ball of fog. Just how strong was she? Long Fei said, What are you waiting for me for? Bai Qi said, I shall pass you the killing principle and become a god of death. Can I impart the laws to him? Long Fei was startled. This was the first time he heard of the ancient code's ability to be passed down to others. Wasn't it true that the ancient code was comprehended as well? Laws weren't a cultivation method. They were something that was illusory and intangible, something that couldn't be imparted. Bai Qi said, I used to share the same thoughts as you, but now I am also in control of the killing principle. Furthermore, this rule was passed down to me by your mother. Holy sh*T. Besides the time laws, my mother also used the killing principle. Long Fei's heart trembled. Once more, "Oh, old lady, how strong are you? I'm already happy under your shadow." Code of time, killing principle. Both of them were powerful law energies. Bai Qi gave a faint smile and said, "According to what I know, there is nothing in the 100,000 planes that your mother is not capable of." Immediately, Long Fei's body sank. The blow in his heart did not seem to leave his body. He thought that his mother would have a power of law, but he didn't expect her to have a power of law. Now, he actually knows all the powers of law. How powerful was this? Compared to her, Long Fei immediately felt like he was an infant who had been stunted since birth. The blow was too great. When you think you can see the whole world, you can't even see a single hair. Time and time again, it exceeded Long Fei's imagination. Now, Long Fei didn't even dare to think about it. However, Long Fei's heart sank as well. Mother is so powerful, but if a huge crisis is about to befall Mu Clan and the Dragon Manor, then how strong are the enemies? This was even more unimaginable. And then Long Fei clenched his fists and swore in his heart, "Universal large world, I will definitely go and take a look." Long Fei looked at Bai Qi and said, "You're going to teach me the killing principle, right? Bring it on." Chapter 2022, Chapter 2022, Provoked who putting aside his mother's matter. Long Fei couldn't think about so much now. Just how strong was he? How many secrets were there? What exactly was it arranged for? Was he the owner or the creator of the system? Long Fei had no way to think about these things right now. He could only wait until he saw his mother first. Right now, the most important thing for him was to level up and recover his HP. Since Bai Qi had imparted him the killing principle, why not accept it? Bai Qi was the god of slaughter. The king of assassins of the ancient war god was also the king of the dark night. How strong was he? Long Fei would soon find out just how strong the power of the ancient code was. He's gone. Why is it gone? Can it even disappear into thin air? Tian Yuan's face was filled with anger as he searched Ziyu's room, but he couldn't find the figures of Ziyu and Wang Tai. The sky had just darkened, and guards were alternating. Tian Yuan immediately brought his men here. He originally wanted to rape Ziyu first before killing her, but he didn't expect that. Ziyu and Wang Tai, along with the huge coffin, were all gone. Did he fly away? Even if he flew away in Night King Valley, he wouldn't be able to fly out of the valley. "Young master," I've asked, they didn't go out at all. A disciple ran back anxiously. One of the lackeys said in a low voice, "Young master, could it be that the great elder took him away?" If the entire Night King Valley were to help Ziyu's people, it was likely that even the great clan elder would be Tian Yuan's father. Tian Yuan frowned and said solemnly, "Search this place for me." Even if they were to fly out, it would be impossible for them to leave the Night King Valley. Even if they had to dig 3 feet out of the ground, it would be fine. A dozen or so guards quickly rushed out. On a distant hillside, 2 elders watched quietly. One of the black-robed elders said indifferently, "Tian Yuan is still too inexperienced. He is too reckless." Purple Elder laughed lightly. "Maybe he can help us with his recklessness. Didn't he not manage to find young Valley Master? Then we'll think of a way for him to find it. I have observed before. The person called Wang Tai is stronger than Tian Yuan. If he were to kill Tian Yuan, no matter how calm the great clan elder was, he would probably not be able to stay. Using a knife to kill someone?" The black-robed elder's eyes flashed with a brilliant light. Purple Elder laughed sinisterly. "How is it?" Elder Shao gave a thumbs up. "Hi, it's really high." "I'll do it." The black-robed elder disappeared in a flash. Not long after, Tian Yuan brought his men and rushed back into Ziyu's courtyard and directly arrived in front of the mural. Staring at the mural, the corner of his mouth slightly curled up. Ziyu, if you have the guts, don't come out. Guard here until you die. Tian Yuan sneered. I don't believe that you won't come out. After receiving the prompt, he immediately understood where Ziyu had gone to. Tomb of Night King. Only the Night King blood veins people could enter. But this was the only entrance and also the only exit. As long as he guarded this place, he would definitely be able to wait until Ziyu. After all, Luby was still outside looking for the antidote. Ziyu, if you have the guts, then stay inside for the rest of your life, Tian Yuan said loudly towards the fresco. As long as you come out, I will rape you before killing you, then rape you before killing you. In the mural, Wang Tai was enraged and shouted, You're courting death. Ziyu pulled him back. Don't go out. Wang Tai said, just like him, I can fight 10 people by myself. The two of them were in the middle of the Tomb of Night King. The giant spirit coffin was placed at the bottom of Night King Mountain, beside the white coffins. They did not know what Long Fei was doing now. Ziyu said, If we go out, I'm afraid we won't be able to come in again. Wang Tai was displeased. Then Ziyu said, Wait! Tian Yuan scolded loudly like before. Back then you rejected me, but what about now? I will still get your body. Not only that, I will ravage you to let my brothers have a taste of the young Valley Master. I heard that you have an orchid body fragrance. When the time comes, I will shatter your orchid. Laughter filled the room. Wang Tai clenched his fists tightly, and his knuckles cracked. Ziyu, on the other hand, had a dull expression. There was no change in her expression. She said lightly, Just let him scold. Anyway, scolding doesn't kill people. Then, Ziyu turned around to look at the several hundred white coffins on the Night King's hillside. Her heart sank as she muttered to herself, Ziyu is useless. Ziyu has tainted the Bai family's sacred land. Ziyu is against our ancestors. This was the place to place all the Night Kings and Lingjiu, but she used it to hide her life. Now that the Night King Valley had become like this, she felt deeply guilty. When they reached the foot of the mountain, Ziyu suddenly knelt down. She knelt in front of her father's coffin and knelt down in front of the other ancestors' coffins as well, kowtowing heavily. When Wang Tai saw Ziyu kneel down, he let out a long sigh and asked, Brotherly, when are you coming back? Brother Fei, if only you weren't poisoned. Sigh. No matter how strong a woman was, she was still a woman. She needed a man's shoulder to lean on. Z, you had always been strong. The pressure she had to endure and the pain she had to endure made her desire to have a man to rely on. Ziyu raised her head slightly, looked at the giant spirit coffin, and said lightly, You have to hold on. The big bloke will definitely bring the antidote. He will. You must hold on. She was worried that Long Fei would not be able to hold on. After all, this was a poison refined by the sky god. Wang Tai also said to himself, Brother Fei, you must endure it. Fairy Grass Valley. Boom. In the 9th level of hell, the gigantic hell beast, who was also a spirit grass guard divine beast, became an obedient dog in front of Li Yuanba and Tianling. However, his head was full of bags. He was disobedient at first, but after a fierce beating, he obeyed immediately. Li Yuanba looked at a piece of black stone that had a thin and tender stalk of grass growing on them. Sacred immortal grass. Poison Monster ran excitedly behind them. The reason he was in Fairy Grass Valley was to wait for the spiritual immortal grass. The reason why the entire Fairy Grass Valley was filled with spirit energy. Li Yuanba glanced at Poison Monster and asked, Is that it? Poison Monster nodded. That's him, but Without waiting for him to finish speaking, Li Yuanba walked forward and dug out the stalk of immortal grass from the black stone. Poison Monster was dumbstruck, looking like he wanted to die. Li Yuanba looked at him and said, "Let's go, we've already obtained the immortal grass. What are you waiting for?" Poison Monster's tears rolled in his eyes as he said, "Elder, you're my grandfather. Oh, it's still not ripe yet. If you pick it now, it won't even have a tenth of its medicinal properties." Li Yuanba was startled. "Damn, then why didn't you say that earlier?" Poison Monster said, "I do want to say it, but did you give me the chance to say it?" The forehead of the sky spirit tightened. "Then what do we do now?" Li Yuanba said, "There isn't enough time. I need to hurry back." While they were talking, Li Yuanba grabbed Poison Monster by the collar and threw him into the air, shouting, "I don't care. If you can't save my boss, I'll kill you." Poison Monster had a bitter face. "Did I offend someone?" Chapter 2023, Fighting Tian Yuan. Chapter 2023, Fighting Tian Yuan on the third day, the day of Li Yuanba's return. In front of the wall, Tian Yuan suddenly laughed out loud and said loudly towards the wall, "See you, the big size guy is back. Ha ha. I was captured by my father and his men. I heard you brought an antidote." Tian Yuan's mind trembled. He made a gesture for her to be quiet, and his ears perked up to listen carefully. "Brother Li is back." Wang Tai was overjoyed and was about to rush out. Ziyu was still kneeling in front of the grave, but she was suddenly pleasantly surprised. In just a split second, she immediately shouted at him, "Don't go out, he's lying to us." Wang Tai was startled. Ziyu said, "If the big-sized man were to come back, he would have definitely reached here first. The great elder would definitely not arrest him. So Tian Yuan wants to trick us to get out." She believed in elder destiny. He would absolutely not make a move on the appointment of 3 days, even if the time was not up yet. Wang Tai said anxiously, "Everyone's will change. What if Brother Li really comes back and gets caught? Then we—" Indeed, what if what Tian Yuan said was true? If he delayed the treatment, Long Fei's life was extremely weak right now, and he could die at any moment. Even if there was a 10% chance of it being true, they would still have to try. Ziyu's brow tightened. She knew that Tian Yuan was trying to trick them to leave, but what if it was real? A trace of panic appeared in her heart as well. She wasn't 100% sure. Wang Tai said, "You are inside. I will leave first. If it is not true, I will speak loudly." Without waiting for Ziyu to speak, Wang Tai stepped into the distorted space. The mural outside moved. Following that, Wang Tai's figure appeared from the mural. Tian Yuan's brows sank and did not rush to make a move. He only sneered at Wang Tai and said, "Where's Ziyu?" Wang Tai asked, "Where is Brother Li?" Tian Yuan laughed coldly. He was captured the moment he entered the Night King Valley and is currently locked in the Night King's prison. "Do you want to see him?" "Sure." Tian Yuan looked at the fresco and said, "Ziyu, come out right now. If you serve me well today, I'll let you guys meet the big guy." Wang Tai's eyes flashed with killing intent. He shouted, "You're courting death." Without waiting for Wang Tai to finish, Ziyu looked at the giant spirit coffin in the distance, then at the white coffin on the hillside. He stepped out of the mural. Ziyu walked out, looked at Tian Yuan, and said, "I'm coming out." Tian Yuan was too excited to the point where he immediately laughed wildly. "See, you're finally out. You're really willing to do anything for that Long Fei?" Ziyu saw Tian Yuan's excited expression and immediately said, "You're lying to me. The big-sized guy didn't come back at all." Tian Yuan laughed. "So what if I'm lying?" "You clearly know that I lied to you, but you still came out by yourself, because in your heart, Long Fei's life is incomparably important." Giggle. Yi Zichen clenched his teeth. Tian Yuan stared at Ziyu and said, "From today onwards, You will never see him again, and he will also die inside. It's mine. Attack. As soon as he finished, the disciples surrounding Tian Yuan immediately rushed forward. He had been played. He was scolded for a day and a night. Wang Tai had long since lost control of the rage in his heart. The moment Tian Yuan had uttered the word, "Go," the power of God's bone taboo instantly burst forth from his body. His entire body was like a hedgehog. Shwa, a charge. Boom. He landed in front of Tian Yuan, grabbed his collar, and raised him into the air, then fiercely smashed him onto the ground. The whole room was shaking, and the ground was cracking. Tian Yuan spat out a mouthful of blood. His face was pale white as he laid on the ground like a dead dog. Wang Tai bellowed, "You want to fight over a woman with my brother, Fei? You're just a hair's breadth, right?" Uffed, spitting a mouthful of phlegm onto Tian Yuan's body, was extremely disdainful. Tian Yuan's body was in great pain, and the hatred in his heart was even more intense. He roared loudly, "Kill him! Kill him! Kill him for me!" Still clamoring, Wang Tai glared at him. Tian Yuan's body trembled slightly. Wang Tai took a step forward, but was stopped by Ziyu, who gently shook her head. Wang Tai was puzzled. "Why didn't you kill him? He scolded you for an entire day." Ziyu said, "You can't kill him. Tian Yuan was Destiny's only son. If he died, Ziyu wouldn't be able to guarantee what fate would do. At this critical juncture, Tian Yuan couldn't die." Tian Yuan laughed loudly, as if he had seen through everything. "You guys don't dare to kill me, right? My father is the great clan elder. He is the Night King Valley's substitute patriarch. If anything happens to me, my father will not spare you." He was extremely pleased with himself. Wang Tai was not happy and shouted, "I cannot kill you, but my old man can cripple you." He stepped forward and heavily slapped him. Pa! Tian Yuan's 2 front teeth were knocked off. His mouth was full of blood. His face had 5 finger marks on it. "Let's try calling another one." Tian Yuan's front teeth fell off as she became dizzy, and her words leaked wind. "You hit me. You dare hit me. My father won't forgive you. You guys just wait for me." Not waiting for him to finish, Wang Tai slapped him again. "What if I hit you?" "Pa!" It was the left side of his face that had been slapped, and this time it was the right side of his face that had been slapped. More teeth fell out. Wang Tai disdainfully said, "If you can't win, just call me father, just like a 3-year-old child. Is someone like you worthy to fight with me, Brother Fei, for a woman? Why didn't you call out all 18 generations of your ancestors?" Tian Yuan was violently beaten up. He had never been beaten up like this before. Tian Yuan used the last bit of his remaining strength to escape and said with a heavy tone, "Just you wait." He frantically escaped. They ran out of the yard. His group of small fries immediately scrambled out of the way. In the distance, on the mountainside, the black-robed elder sneered and said, "What a trash! I can't even take a single blow." Purple elder replied, "It's not that Tian Yuan is trash. It's just that the power on Wang Tai's body is very strong. He has already reached the power of the middle stage of lower god." "What do we do now?" Elder Xiao asked. Purple elder laughed sinisterly and said, "It's very simple. Kill. Kill. Do you want to fight Ziyu?" Ziyu was the last of the Night King blood vein, and also the young Valley Master. "Not her, but Tian Yuan. Our goal is for him to die. So if he dies, the great clan elder will naturally not be able to control his anger." Elder Xiao said, "Hi, this is Hai." Tian Yuan was a small fry. His cultivation was ordinary. His talent was mediocre, but his identity was different. The great elder's only son. No matter how calm the great elder was, the pain of losing his son would make him rage. This way, Night King Valley would be able to take on Ziyu in an all-out attack. However, What the two elders did not expect was that Tian Yuan did not go to his father's place, and instead silently left the valley. "Greetings, Lord Lu." Chapter 2024 begin. Chapter 2024 begin. No one had expected this to happen. Purple Elder was stunned, and his heart tightened slightly. His plans had been disrupted. Half an hour later, the black-robed elder shook his head. "We didn't find him." Outside the valley, Tian Yuan was like an obedient pug as he bowed and kneeled by Lu Tianyu's side and said, "They are right inside, and the coffin containing Long Fei is inside the Tomb of Night King." Tomb of Night King? Lu Tianyu's eyes lit up. Night King Valley was one of the most mysterious places in the primordial divine war, and Tomb of Night King was the most mysterious sacred place. The king of assassins, killing path controller. There must be endless treasures buried inside his grave, and maybe the legendary killing principle. If he could obtain this kind of ancient code, then he would immediately become an ascendant expert of the main temple. Lu Tianyu became excited. "Buying one for free? Ha ha ha. I heard that no one in the Tomb of Night King knows where it is. You know, Tian Yuan was violently beaten up, a belly full of anger was squeezed out, and he said, I know, right inside the frescoes, only the Night King blood vein can open it." This was the Night King Valley's secret. He ignored it all. Right now, he only wanted to kill Wang Tai and Ziyu. As for the secret that the Night King Valley could not divulge, he did not think too much about it. Lu Tianyu said excitedly, "All right, Tian Yuan, you have rendered a great merit. In the future, I will support you to become the new Night King of the Night King Valley." "Finished," Lu Tianyu said. "Have your men open the door. We are entering the valley." Tian Yuan was extremely excited and said, "As you command." At the entrance of the valley, the idea moved. Soon after, the gate of the valley slowly opened. Seeing the entrance of the valley open, Lu Tianyu became excited. "I couldn't find the entrance for a long time, so this is the place I'm looking for." This Night King Valley is really amazing, as expected of the first valley of the primordial divine war. Tian Yuan said, "This is the place the first Night King found." While they were talking, Tian Yuan was about to step forward and lead the way, but it was just that. A legend palace disciple stopped him and said, "We will go in ourselves." Lu Tianyu walked towards the Night King Valley and muttered with a smile, "I should be the first person to step into the Night King Valley, right? For all these years, even the gods of Main Temple have not come here. I am the first one." Long Fei's head. The tombs of successive Night Kings. Ha ha ha. "I'm going to post." Lu Tianyu was extremely excited. Obtaining any one of them was enough for him to enjoy for his entire life. Tian Yuan always wanted to chase after him, but he was constantly pushed away. "Go behind him." "Go to the back." "Behind." Until all of the 100 powerhouses that Lu Tianyu had brought entered the Night King Valley. Tian Yuan was still at the entrance of the valley. Just as he was about to enter the valley, a woman walked over. Tian Yuan's eyes moved. He was dumbstruck, and saliva was about to flow from the corner of his mouth. "Wow, there's actually such a beautiful woman in this world. Beautiful. It was incomparably beautiful." His aura and ice-cold gaze made him seem like a complete ice and amp, Snow Queen. Tian Yuan became excited and thought to himself, "Ziyu is nothing in front of her. If I can take this woman down, then ha ha ha." Tian Yuan tidied up his messy hair a little and walked forward. "Beautiful girl, where are you going?" The lady said coldly, "Is that Night King Valley ahead?" Tian Yuan immediately said, "Yes, it's Night King Valley. I am Night King Valley's future Night King." The woman didn't say anything and just walked over. Tian Yuan stared blankly. Am I not attractive enough? Immediately running forward, she said, Beautiful lady, I am the future Night King. If you want, not waiting for him to finish. The woman moved her power, and a crystal like phoenix shadow suddenly came crashing down, forming 10,000 sword intents and slashed Tian Yuan's body 10 million times. Immediately, Tian Yuan stood there like a statue, not moving at all. Millions of thin scars appeared on his body. Every scar was covered in ice, and it was as if their entire body was frozen. And he had become an ice sculpture. Ice Phoenix power. Instant kill. Phoenix Emperor, Jojo. At the same time, she walked towards the valley at a leisurely pace without even turning her head. Awesome, quite amazing. Phoenix Emperor's current cultivation was countless times stronger than before. Her eyes were cold. It carried a strong killing intent. There was only one goal in her mind, to kill Long Fei. The Night King Valley's door opened, and a bell immediately rang in the valley. Heaven's Mandate's eyebrows tightened, and he secretly felt relieved. He immediately asked, Is it that big bloke? 3 days. Today was the 3rd day. If he came back and obtained the antidote, then Destiny's heart would be at ease. However, at this time, a disciple hurriedly ran into his room and said, Great Elder, something bad has happened. Something bad has happened. Heaven's Mandate put down the brush in his hand. He only wrote half of the word life before asking, What happened that made you so flustered? Legend Palace's 100 Powerhouse S are here. The disciple was sweating profusely from anxiety. Destiny's face darkened as he asked, Who opened the gates? The Night King Valley's Valley Gate was special. As long as one did not open the gate, no one could enter or fly in. That disciple said, Yes, it was young master who called for the door to open. Heaven's Mandate clenched his fists and walked out with large strides. Soon, Heaven's Mandate arrived at the Night King Valley's plaza. Lu Tianyu led 100 Legend Palace S. These powerhouse flew to various roofs and formed an extremely strong killing intent. The square was surrounded. A few elders stepped forward to welcome him. Great Clan Elder, the people from Legend Palace have arrived. They must have come for Long Fei. Hand him over. Yeah, we can't afford it. With just Night King Valley's current strength, he is not a match for us. Great Clan Elder, you have to consider the bigger picture. The disciples of the Night King Valley were all outside, hiding in secret. They wouldn't go back to the Night King Valley without a summon. 100 Powerhouse in Legend Palace S could not bear it. He walked out from the crowd and looked at Lu Tianyu. What kind of wind brought you here? Night King Valley doesn't seem to have anything to do with it, right? Ha ha ha. Lu Tianyu laughed out loud and said, I didn't have any connections in the past, but now I do. I don't want to waste words with you. Hand over the person who killed Crown Prince. Heaven's Mandate trembled and said, You want people to come to Night King Valley? What if I don't? As soon as he finished, the eyes of the people from the Night King Valley were all shocked. Having said that, they had no choice but to be on full alert. One of the elders immediately said in a low voice, Grand Elder, you should reconsider. Not waiting for him to finish. Heaven's Mandate said heavily, I will never break the promise of 3 days. What's more, their goal is not only Long Fei. Lu Tianyu laughed faintly, his gaze sweeping across the surroundings as he said, If you don't hand it over, then I'll kill you until you hand it over. He raised his gaze. He said coldly, Do it. You're tuning in to the Mystic Fist YouTube channel. Don't forget to subscribe and join us on this journey to catch the most captivating stories.